What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and all that other good stuff. What is happening tonight? I did get in here a little late. My apologies. But we are doing what we can here. Hold on, let me just check I don't know why my audio is a little bit lower tonight. Not sure what the deal is here, but we'll get it straightened out here, right? Let me see here. Hola, what's going on, Ricardo? Good to see you there. Let me make sure my audio is good here. Phil C's in there. What's going on, Phil? Good to see you in there. I just literally ran into the door here just to get here. Had to get some things done. I was like, oh, I got to get in there. So the weather's not that great here. So I had to pick the wife up from work. She doesn't like driving that crap at all. Snow and slushy and ice and everything else. So I said, well, I'll go get you. Had to get a couple things done. Where's my video here? Oh, here we are. Here we be. There we go. So, yeah. Eric Gower says, all right. What's going on? Elaine Millard's in there. What's going on, Elaine? Third Eye Opens in there. Renee Cruz is in there. Great for All's in there. Corey's, what's up, Corey? Timothy Seidel, how do I find your early episode from when you first started? Oh, you just go on the homepage and you just can go to the, they have a filter we can do the very beginning ones, the earliest ones, or the latest ones. You can check that out, Timothy. Samantha Morris, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Raymond Delgado, hello from Utah. What's going on over there in Utah? Hope it's better weather than what we're having. Miss Hurd's in there. What's going on, Miss Hurd? John Murray, what's going on, John? Good to see you in there. Colin Crowther, what's going on? Is it in attendance? Everybody's like, here? Noodles, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Pete Ferrero's in there. Like I said, folks, I literally just ran into the door. Yeah, I mean, well, not into it, but got in the door. I was like, oh, man, I got to fire this stuff up. So this computer here, where I watch the stream like you folks do, it's a little slower than this one here. This one being a gaming computer, that one there, it's not bad. Like I said, it's the Z210 HP. And it's probably got, I think it's got 16 gigs of RAM in it, maybe 30. Maybe have like, I forget what I got in that thing now. But compared to this one here, this one came with 16. Of course, it's the newest computer, but I ended up bumping that up to 80 gigs, so she can handle whatever I throw at her. So, yeah. But that one took a little bit longer, and then for some reason, the software wouldn't communicate. I'm like, why do I not have a video? And it says, oh, it's being used. What? So anyway, here we are. Good to see everybody in there. Glad to see everybody in there. All the suspects, the usual suspects in there. Yeah, I'm not even sure what the... Eric Gowie said, Chris, please start streaming on D-Live and Rumble. Yeah, a lot of people talk about Rumble. I'm not sure what the D-Live, I'm not sure what that is. But people have talked about Rumble and stuff like that. I even thought about doing just a regular podcast type thing where, yeah, we're unfiltered. Because you'd be like, is that Chris? It's like, man, he fits right in with the local truckers down here. But because sometimes you just want to actually express how you really feel about some of the lies that's being told to us, some of the crap that goes on YouTube and all this other stuff, and you just want to voice that. But sometimes you just don't have the time. It's not even worth it anyway, right? Let me see. Whoop. Oh, I hate it when this thing does this. Let me see. Hey, it actually did it today. Any other time I can't get it to do it. Okay. Let's see. Let me see here too. Check here. Well, it's kind of like Odyssey. It's a lot like YouTube. In fact, if you go to Odyssey, and if you guys want, I'll drop the link to that. I got all my videos on there as well. As soon as I upload here, it automatically goes up there. And guess what? The videos are cleaner. They're better. They're not as compressed as they are on YouTube. That's why I got several of you folks now jumping up there and checking them out, because they're going, well, hell, it's clearer up here. It's a lot better. So, yeah. Let me see here. I get at least once or twice people ask me, In fact, it was on the my phone here. Say, hey Chris, how can we you know, help the channel out? Well, and sometimes it's just easier for folks to do it this way. I don't know. I'm going to put the PayPal link in. Anybody wants to? Oh, let me do it this way. Anybody want to support the channel? You can do up above now. It should be jumping up there. There it goes. John, where we go? Let me see. This thing just jumped here. Mr. Sean Ward's in there. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you in there. Loving the videos, by the way. All right, there we go. Now we're in the right place where we're supposed to be. Let's see. Mr. James Dragan's in there. What's going on, James? Good to see you in there. Let's see. Mimi Reacts is in there. Let's see. Ancient Alternative View. What's happening? You said, hey, all the best to everyone. I wonder whether Venus would be a good study. It's almost like the blinkers are on the moon and the Mars hold all answers. Could Venus be possibly for anything? It's a very good possibility. You know, I know people have been doing, well, not very many videos, but I've done a couple in the past, but they're very, very vague, right? I mean, let's put it this way, the photos are a lot worse than Mars and the moon, but it's something I would be checking into too. I got another moon one coming up, by the way, folks. Wait till you see this. Oh, this is great. At first you're like, I'm really not seeing too much, and of course this picture's got this huge brightened up area with this super bright spots, and then when you break it all down and then you look at another part and you go, okay, that's not what I thought it would be. So yeah, it's wait till you see this next one coming up. It's great. In fact, I was just enhancing that before I went and picked up the wife for work, and wow, it's awesome when you do these, because as you enhance it, you never know what's going to pop out of these things. Sometimes it's nothing. Might go on there. Okay, not a thing. Psh, next, toss the picture out. And then sometimes you're going, wow, holy crap. You know, as you're just slightly burning, just very light, all of a sudden these things start to pop out, shapes and everything else. You're going, okay. And I'm not talking about shapes like our manipulation lines and stuff like that. I'm talking about literally we've seen squares, rectangles, circles within squares and whatever. We've seen all kinds of crazy things, right? So, yeah, it's just awesome. Larry Marks, what's going on? He said, hello from New Jersey. What's going on in Jersey? Hope you guys are batting down for that storm, because you're about to get your butts handed. But I think it's changed, depending on the Euro or the United States model, right? I know up in Rhode Island, where I was born and raised, they're about to get their butts handed to them. So, yeah, that ought to be lots of fun for them. Thank God I'm not there. But we do have weather here. It's kind of like we had snow on and off all day, and not a whole lot of anything. In fact, it got up to, it's still 32 degrees here. Got up to, I think, 34, 35 degrees, which is nothing. The good thing about it is the snow will melt on the roads, right? But it's still, you know, we're going to get maybe a little bit of that tonight, and then, of course, it's going to be like almost single digits today over here in good old WV. So, yeah, fun. Josh D, what's going on? Good to see you. And he said, hello, Chris. How are you? I'm doing okay, other than basically running in here to get it done. Just trying to jump in there and, hold on. Getting this thing fired up, making sure that everything's fired up and ready to rock and roll. Oh, yeah. Noodles, yeah. He said, please advise Jean Ward to remove the spyware link from the comments section in this upload today, in his upload, rather. So, yeah, absolutely. And you get those every now and then. You know, you get them, some of them links that it takes you to some weird porn site or some garbage. You got to be careful of those. It'll be like in.uov or whatever, some goofy little thing. And I automatically click off. You'll get those. And then, of course, they put the links for all the garbage. You just got to keep an eye on your channel, because if anybody clicks on that, they might end up some kind of weird Trojan type thing or some kind of malware or some crap you got to be careful of. But yeah, good heads up there. Watching this back there, Noodle. So yeah, Jean Ward, if you get a chance in this latest video, check it out. You probably have a link that's got some kind of spyware link type thing in there. If Noodles is like I am, if I click on something, like let's say you go, oh, what is that? And you click on it, mine will grab it immediately. Any kind of spyware, malware or any of that sort. So I don't worry about that too much. But as far as the unsuspecting person, they'll think, oh, maybe this person is sharing something else to do with the moon or Mars or whatever it is, and next thing you know, their computer, tablet, whatever gets jacked, and that's not good. It's not a good thing, right? Oh, Jean, you're always welcome here. You said, good to be here, Chris. Thanks again. Oh, yeah. You're always welcome here. Corey, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Adam's in there. What's going on, Adam? Long Island, New York. What's happening? Says, hello, all. Limey Watcher, what's happening? Good to see you in there. He said, YouTube didn't let me know. Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's weird. It's like I said, that's why you got to just make sure you subscribe and make sure you tick that little bell once it comes down. Just tick the bell and make sure you put all, notify all, or it says all notifications, whatever it is, just make sure you hit that. And some people said, I have, and it still doesn't notify me. Just keep checking back, especially if we have like a typical schedule, right? Like I'll try to do like a video a day. So, last couple of weeks I haven't been doing the Wednesday because that's my wife's day off. We just kind of chill. Might do some shopping or whatever we got to do, run some errands, whatever it may be. But that doesn't mean that won't change. We'll get back to doing some more videos for you guys because we have plenty to do. We have probably 4 or 5 on deck that we got to get done. So, and some of them that have been requested. And I'm talking about requested. I'm talking about way back. In fact, somebody had gotten mad at me today. It was and says, "Oh, I won't bother you anymore," because they were on my Facebook Mars Anomalies. And I said, "I'll be honest with you. I said, I've been busy between work, doing this, family. I said, I be honest with you, I don't check it a whole lot, but I will get on to him today. And I did answer this gentleman back, and I don't mean to blow people off. I promise you I don't. It's just that, you got a lot of things on your plate. You got to just do what you got to do. So, like I said, I'm not blowing anybody off here. Just, I'll get to him, I promise. I just got to get on a little bit more, frequently. Let's put it right. Let's put it that way. Glenn Marsh, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Good evening, all my Mars Anomalies friends. Great to be with you. Really great videos. I appreciate it, Glenn. And yeah, it's good to have everybody here. You know what I mean? As always, it's like just nice to be able to converse and have a good time. And I got an interesting thing I want to show you guys too. I stumbled upon, and it's got to do with the moon, and I'm going to share that with you. It's a PDF, I believe, but it kind of coincides with what I've been saying all along. Remember, we've been saying that they never stop going to the moon. Interesting. But it gets more interesting. You're going to see that real soon because we're not going to just be on this too long. Of course, I like to just get back with everybody and see everybody saying hello and everything else. So, yeah. Jean was asking you, Noodles. I removed the Russian language link. Was that it? So I don't know if you, John, there was a spyware link in the comments of yours today. So that's what he's asking. So, Mimi, you said, Chris, have you heard about Elon Musk? Yeah, I have. Who's going to crash into the far side of the moon? Doesn't that seem a little weird to anybody? I mean, think about this a minute. China's been there. Now, obviously, they're not going to detonate or slam this thing into the lunar surface where their rover and lander is, right? But it just seemed a little odd that they just, the far side of the moon and where we found a lot of structures and stuff. Imagine that. I find it a little suspicious, but that's just me. What do you guys think of that? I read that, it was a good couple of days ago anyway, and I'm like, are they serious? It just stinks to high heaven, the whole idea of this. Why don't they just do it on the side that faces us? Make it sound like this, it's a square, right? But anyway, why don't they just do it? Why not? Why on the other side of the moon? Well, I think there's a lot more activity and a lot more things that are being hidden on the other side of the moon. Strangely enough, they want to slam I think it's the third stage, isn't it? Into the lunar surface. I find that a little suspicious. That may be just me, but I'm still a bit dubious, right? Claire Mead, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Alfie Joe Bob, what's happening? He said, hi, Chris. I purchased one of those rectangular. Oh, he did. He got one of the shortwave receivers that you talked about. Now, what do you think, Alfie? I think it's pretty cool. And for its size, what is your, out of 1 to 10, what do you think about the audio? As small as that thing is, what do you think? And what do you think about the reception? I'll be curious of what you got to say, because it's actually a good little radio. And they're not very expensive either, right? Which is really awesome. Oh, there you go. Yeah, $21 on Amazon. Yeah, that's what I said. I think I paid maybe a few more dollars than you, but yeah, you can get them pretty cheap. Eric Gowrie said, Chris, is there a way to, I don't know if you meant make a video and do what you do to the, or take a video rather, and do what you do to the photos? It's a little tougher to do. I mean, you literally have to have this thing screen by screen, but you could probably do it. Yeah. Because, I mean, you know, frame by frame, which is not a big deal. You can just put it right into, like any video processing thing, just kind of do it, whatever you got to do. It can be done. But I normally don't do that. Now, sometimes I will see somebody will suggest a video to me, say, hey, Chris, what do you think about this video here? Go check it out in, like, let's say 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, sometimes I'll just do a screenshot, which is not going to be the clearest. Going to probably be crappy quality, depending on the video, too. Because we already know that when you upload to a video, my videos actually look a lot better than they really are on YouTube. A lot of people don't realize that, but there's a lot of compression going on. That's why I said over in Odyssey, the site up there, all my videos go up there as well at the same time they go here on YouTube, that it's a better quality. It's actually better quality. It's not as compressed, so it actually looks clearer. I'd say it's probably 20-30% clearer than this. So if you guys get a chance, in fact, I'll leave the link down there. You guys can check it out. In fact, when you go to my home channel, you can see in my banner at the top of the screen, right there, it says Odyssey, and of course there's a PayPal link, but you got Odyssey right there in the right-hand corner. Click on that and it'll take you right to my channel up there, and you can see the thing, and you go, wow, this does actually look clearer. So in case you guys go, I don't see the better quality, it does. It sucks, to be truthful with you. It's okay. From 0 to 10, it's probably, to me, about a 6. And I think anybody here uploads, including Jean, I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. It's so compressed, it's garbage. But it suffices, it works. But if you ever want to see the little bit better quality, just jump up to Odyssey, and you'll see it. It's basically like the same layout as YouTube, in a sense, right? Yes, Long Island, New York, we were going to talk about that too. Anybody hear about the spinning object emitting radio burst every 18 minutes? They say they don't understand the object located in the Milky Way. Well, and that's what's funny, because I'm trying to remember how they described this thing. But they said it's like the energy that comes out of these bursts is like insane, right? But that to me doesn't mean squat. It's like 18, what is it, every 18 minutes and 18 seconds or 10 seconds? Precisely, okay? I'm sorry, I don't believe that's natural. Is it possible? It is. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I find it a little weird that it's like every 18, I forget how many seconds it was after, but it's like precise. I mean, what? Is that possible, folks? Now, I know we have explosion, we have nebula, we got planets slamming into planets, we have black holes swallowing and destroying planets, we have all kinds of stuff going on out there. Probably things we don't understand. But on the other side of the token, you're going, every 18 minutes and 10 seconds, whatever it is, precisely? Really? I think we're going to find a lot more when that James Webb's completely ready to rock. Will they divulge any of it, though? You know, I sure hope they do. Here's the other thing. I believe what they're going to do. Let's suppose they do. They actually share some information. This time they find a Dyson sphere, and this time they really don't have any problem sharing it with us. You know why? They're going to go like this. Well, it's about 60 million light years away, which means we won't care. Most people would go, wow, that's interesting. But they're going to go, well, that's so far away, I'm not worried about it. Now, if you said it was right here in our backyard, meaning our satellite, our moon, or Mars, oh, can't be doing that now, can we? So, yeah. But I think they'd be more apt to share that with us, because they remember they had found what they thought was a Dyson sphere before, because they go by the actual dimming of that particular planet, and you'll see something that'll dim and go in front of it, and then it just gets brighter again. So they're trying to figure out what this is, and they can see one of them was actually blocking, I think it was like half to 3/4 of the light from that particular planet that this object was rotating or going around, orbiting, call it what you will. I don't know. Or was it something that was just kind of just going by it, but what the heck? Unless it's got an oversized moon bigger than the one we have to our planet, I don't know. It was just weird. Noodles, you were talking to Mimi, so good and sunny in Vancouver. Oh, yeah. MG Toe, what's going on? It says, hi, all. What is happening? Mars Leaks, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Sean Taylor, my neighbor. Hi, Chris from Ohio. Over here in WV. Ricardo, thank you very much for your support, brother. He said, James, for the winner last man standing last week. I thought it was Elaine that beat one of you guys out. One of you guys, I know you guys are hanging out to try to see who's going to be the longest one out there who can just like comment last, but that was pretty funny. I'm going to be the last one. That was pretty good. I haven't changed it. Yeah, we got some interesting things to talk about. And the one I've been waiting to really tell you guys about this one here, because I don't know if you heard about this one article, but like I said, this has got to do with the moon and some similarities to what I've been just kind of like off the top of my head sharing with you guys. And Josh D, I know you're going to love this too. Let's see. Larry Marks, there you go. You said we are ready for Mother Nature. Plenty of food and treats. Well, I hope you have backup power too, because that's going to be a biatch. You know, I'm pretty much, I got like, I don't know how many, I could actually run a Best Buy in here. I got so many battery backups and stuff to, in fact, I was actually on live feed one time and power went out. I was still live because my internet's on battery backup. My whole bench here is on battery backup. Of course, I'd have to shut that computer off in order to, I think it'll boost me about another extra 20 minutes. So give me, on this computer here, give me about another hour. Let's say it just stopped right now, power went out. Give me about another hour to chit chat. And that one there will still run for another good, I don't know how many hours. So I'd be good. But still, it's good to have extra power if you need it. Whatever it is that keep you out of the dark, right? As long as you stay safe, that's the main thing. Kyle Harvey, what's going on, brother? He said, good God, getting to the show was a pain in the ass just now. What happened? Yeah, that's weird because, like I said, I had issues with this not long ago where I was trying to get out. I don't know if it's something it's a hiccup or something to do with YouTube. Of course, they never have problems, right? But, yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. Sometimes it's just some weird stuff happens, especially the computer itself. It'll be like, it'll just fool with you. You know, it'd be like one thing's working and all of a sudden it just goes stupid, right? You're like, what is going on? So, Renee Cruz, I'm creeping death. Well, that's not good. Ancient Alternative View says Europa carries water hydrocarbons and there is possibly therefore a luminescent creatures could live in the water and or have made our waters that way. Well, it depends. I mean, we have these luminescent kind of creatures in the deep, in our deeps here in the ocean as well. But there's a lot. Excuse me. Let me get a sip here. There's a lot of these moons that they want to visit because some of them are almost like Earth. And some of them actually have an ice sheet over oceans. And that's what they want to do. They want to get through the ice. They want to send a submarine type thing over there, kind of robotic type thing, go through the depths and everything else. And they want to explore and see if there's any life in there. That would be interesting as hell, wouldn't it? Oh my God, that would be cool as heck to actually see what could possibly be down there. Can you imagine they do this? And of course, this is going to be some years in the future, but can you imagine if they actually had a video and they showed it and they said, look, there's actually creatures like swimming along in it? That would be the bomb. That would be pretty sweet. Glenn Marsh, yeah, there you go. 10-4 drivers. You know what? I'm actually happy that Canada started doing this. Of course, there's a lot of talk down here in the United States, and a lot of the countries are starting to follow suit, where they're about tired of this, mandating shots and all this other BS. They're just like, we're not doing it. Go kill yourself. And I love the idea these people are doing that. No, not killing themselves. I'm saying as far as them telling, they got the FU attitude. Stop this madness. I mean, seriously, stop. And I'm glad they're doing that, because you know what? Truckers stop. We're all screwed. They're basically the, lifeblood of any country. Without them, of course, there's trains that do the same, but mostly it's truck drivers. In fact, I got a couple truck driver friends. They said, yeah, I'm not doing it. And they said, well, their employer said, well, you need to do it. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to work. And of course, if you're in a union, they all go, I don't think so. And they're all brothers, they all hanging together. And of course, there's girls that do it too, so I'm not going to leave them out. I'm not chauvinist. But so you get these men and women that are going, no, I don't think so. Basically, suck it. And that's what it comes down to. And you know what? Good for them. Good for them. Enough is enough. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about that, about Elon's rocket. I find it very weird. Most of the stuff you can find is on the other side of the moon. It's on the, well, they say the dark side, but it's not dark side. It's just the back side of the moon, right? It gets sun as well. It's a side we just never see, that's all. So I use the term the other side of the moon, or the far side of the moon, which is probably the best way to pronounce it, or not pronounce it, but say it. Yeah, I find it a little fishy, because I've seen structures and everything else on that other side, or the dark side of the moon, or the other side of the moon, the back side. And there's so much stuff there, and yet it just happened to be, we're going to just crash this thing into that part of the moon? I find that extremely fishy. Somebody else was just saying the same thing. That's crazy. And like I said, I think they're up to no good when it came to that. It's just very weird to me. It's almost like they know, at some point, Virgin Galactic and companies like that are going to be selling tickets. You can literally fly around with them. You can actually go around the moon. They're going to come back, and that's going to be a trip, so on and so forth. And so if we get rid of the evidence now, there'll be nothing to see. So especially anything that's illuminated, because how many times we've seen that where it looks like there's lights or some kind of illumination or something very shiny on the surface, and they don't want you to see that. So it's like they're doing this more and more before people actually get to the moon. More and more people get there, because there's a lot of areas we have not been to, a lot of it. And just the areas they have been to, we've seen structures, things that look like like machines, things that look like, and on the other far side of the moon, we got what looks like a cities. There's cities and all kinds of other cities all over the place. And yet, they just happen to crash that staged rocket there, right? Yeah. Forgive me if I sound, like I said, a little dubious, but I believe that's a bit fishy. This thing just jumped on me here. Let me go back here. James Cragen, thank you very much for your support, sir. As always a continued supporter of the channel. Chris, great vids this week again, man. And you were spot on in relation to the NASA blur. Did you notice they seem to have a second blur under the footage? Yes. They'll do it in different ways or different textures, right? But I hope you guys seen exactly when you can actually see they drew over it, and they put this brown or the same texture or color over that so you can hide the whole piece. And one of them was really a good example where it looked like it was almost like a U-shaped. Of course, it was a solid U, but it was right there, and you can see the line going right through the manipulation. It's absolute proof that they're actually manipulating and censoring these. Although some people come on and they go, no, you're full of crap. Okay, it's right there in the video. I don't need to hide it. It's right there. I'm exposing it. So it's right there for everybody to see, But yeah, I mean, you'll notice that. You'll see like different ways to overlap. Oh, it's crazy, especially if they're trying to really hide this thing, right? Bush Corey, guys, what's happening? Thank you, sir, for your support. As always, you guys are awesome. Happy Friday, brother. Same to you, man. I hope you're doing well. You know, like I said, in this craziness going on still, with all of this COVID and these armies and whatever. But says we're peaking at some places, so I'm hoping that'll finally maybe start to come down a little bit. Because like I said, I stated this before where they said, and I know you guys heard this, I don't care what country you're in. They said, well, if we can get, in fact, I think this is in the UK, if we can get everybody to get the shot, we'll have what? Herd immunity. Guess what? Months down the line, and I said this, I said it's never going to happen because not everybody's going to get the shot. The only way you're going to get that is everybody gets it and gets over it. So months later, they come out with, yeah, scrap that. It's not going to work. Just let everybody basically get it, and then we'll get herd immunity. Imagine that. So, and you can see the outcome, how it's still going on and on and on, even with all these goofy little shots and everything else, right? There you go. Again, Bush Corey, thank you very much, sir, for your support. James Cragen as well, and anybody else who supports the channel, you guys are awesome. Like I said, any support's awesome support. And like I said, I always put the link up there, too, for the PayPal, because like I said, some people have asked me, I don't know, maybe they just don't want the attention, and I don't blame them. Because I don't know if you guys remember back in the day where, I think it was Julia or Sarah had come on there, and she, and I told everybody I was honest, where they actually supported the channel. I said, well, let's get you like a new computer and all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. I actually asked her, I said, would you be okay, because I believe in giving somebody props, and I believe in thanking somebody who supports the channel. I don't care if it's this big or this big of support. It doesn't matter to me. And she said, yeah, that should be all right. I said, are you sure? Because you may get some friends come out of the woodwork, and of course some real wackos. Well, guess what? Yeah, she got the brunt of it. And she said, well, you called it. I was like, what are you talking about? They called her a home wrecker, all kinds of names. I mean, unfathomable names, towards a woman. It's just not right. And, of course, I just, when I jumped on my life at that time, I said, it's going to be not tolerated. If I found out who you are, I'm going to kick your ass off my channel, because it's just not right. Like I said, it's like somebody doing, I want to just do $10, something simple. I'm going to give me $10. And people go, he's a jerk. I don't get it. I'm confused. It's just like, I do the same. Like I'll support some channels, I'll do the same thing. I don't have a problem with it. You know why? Because I love their content. I'm going to go, hell, it's worth me seeing this. It's better than watching TV and the garbage that's on TV any time of the day. Click, give them a little something, something. I don't see a problem with it. But then some people, right off the handle. I don't get it. It's really weird. But people get attacked, and this is the reason why they say, well, I think you can put up another link for like the PayPal. Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem with that. Renee Cruz, you said I had a free Metallica ticket, but I couldn't get in because I didn't get the vax yet. Oh my God. I knew I should have gotten a legal vaccination for $20 and 20 votes. Oh, that sucks. Oh my God. But you see what I mean? It's like they're just forcing you to do something that by law you shouldn't have to do. You know what I mean? It's a crime against humanity, no matter how you slice it. And you have your rights. And they don't care about infringing on them either. It's just not right. It's a bunch of BS. John Sharp, what's going on? Is it all people? Hello. What's going on, John? Good to see you there. Yeah, was it Alfie? Alfie, did you say who was the one that said they bought that little radio, that little shortwave radio? Was it Alfie or was it? I didn't know if I got the answer because this thing jumped on me. What you thought about the sound and the reception in that little radio? This might have jumped right over and I didn't see it, so that's not your fault, of course. Christopher Yerington, you said truck stop. 3 to 5 days later, the chaos begins in earnest. Yep, absolutely. Because, and here's the thing, in just regular, remember when all of this, virus is going on, right? Talking two years ago. We were having issues getting things in my store. because I'm the one who orders and does all this stuff. So what happens is they're still trying to play catch up. So this is the reason why you can go to the store and still not find what you're looking for. There's holes everywhere. Why? Well, for starters, people don't want to work, but then you start to get truck drivers going, you know what? Again, I'm all set. You are not going to make me do something I don't want to do. We'll just come to a standstill, and basically you guys can go jump off. And kudos to them, although it can hurt us in the long run, but they won't have any, these companies won't have any other alternative but just to say, okay, fine, just go. And you know what? They'll defeat them. Something's got to give here, guys. I mean, really, it's pathetic. It really is. There's no reason why you should be forced to do anything with your body. I don't care what it is. And then people, of course, will come off on you like, well, you're selfish. No, because I do everything I can to wear masks and everything else. And, I make sure I clean my hands and everything else. So, if I touch something, I'm not going to take one thing, put it onto another, like another germ or virus or any of that sort. I play my part, I do my part. And, so I think it's selfish that you're going to be forced to do something that you don't want to do. So I guess it could be played on both sides if you really want to think about it. But it's wrong, period. I mean, that's all there is to it. Don't infringe on people's rights. David Clark, he said, yes, Chris, went to the store, and many things are simply not on the shelf. We need them truckers. Absolutely. I totally agree. What's going on there, Mr. Mike Knapp? Good to see you in there. Let me see. What's going on there? Pete's Vlogs is in there, too. What's going on, Pete? Yeah, this thing did jump at me. Steve Garnham, what's happening? Good to see you in there as well. What else did I miss in here? God, I hate when that happens. I literally just keep creeping down, all of a sudden I go, and I'm like, all right, how many people did I just jump over? Oh, Water Picker, he said, I've met a female trucker before while chilling at a hot tub. They were nice to chat with. Oh, yeah. In fact, as a friend of my daughter's, she just decided to start driving trucks. She's probably in, I want to say mid-20s, late 20s. And, she's got herself a brand new rig and everything else. But they're the same way. They're like, you know what? We're going to do the same. We're just tired of it. People don't realize how much power you have that the public actually has. The government can say, you're going to do this. I don't need to do anything. I used to hate that terminology when I moved down south because, especially in South Carolina, they were good for let's say you're working there, and they want you to move, I don't know, a pallet or a skid of some stock. I don't care what it is. It could be bricks. It could be anything, right? I says, all right, they'll use the term, they'll say, hey, Chris, you need to go ahead and do that. I say, well, hold on. Let me break this down for you. I don't need to do a darn thing. If you're asking me to get that, you just say, go ahead and get that and put that over there. When you use the term, I need to, I just don't compute. I just don't. If you would like me to do it, I will. I don't have a problem with it. You're my boss. I'm the employee. But when you say you need to go ahead and do that, I don't need to do a damn thing. What you need to do is find another employee if you're going to keep it up. That's the way I look at it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll give everybody 110% of my job. I don't have a problem with that. But for some reason, they used to talk like that a lot down there. You need to do that. I went, really? Not last time I checked. If they say, hey, Chris, why don't you go ahead and get that stuff over there, move that over here, and I need that moved over here. Sure, no problem. I'm on it. I don't have a problem with it. John Shabby said, Chris, the other side has the scared aliens that they have no clothes on. Ooh, that wouldn't be good, would it? I don't think they could survive in that. Because when the sun shines, it's extremely hot, and when it's cold, and when there's no sun, it's extremely cold. Yeah, they might be like alien sickles by now. Indrid Cole, what's going on? Good to see you. And they said, it's great to see people standing up for their rights. This rampant, yeah, exactly, authority, yep, has to be shut down. Exactly, it's just like, you have the power, folks. Join together. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody riot. I'm just saying that, just say no. It's that easy. If enough people get together with it, the employees are going to have, employers rather, are going to have no other alternative to say, they're going to do two things. Either you're fired, which some people won't do, so they won't stand up, Because I go, it's my only job. Are you kidding me? There's like 8 billion jobs out there right now. So find something else, but stand up for your rights. We actually had a local girl here. She was a meteorologist on one of the local stations, and we found her, she disappeared. She was no longer working here. We're like, what the heck's going on? They wanted her to get the vax. They wanted her to get the vaccine. Nope. So she's on another channel now. Good for her. Good for her. What's going on, Adam the Martian? Good to see you in there. Yep, the hidden side of the moon is full of cities and structures. Absolutely. Kyle Harvey, I'm trying to reset my Xbox. I will be with you guys shortly. As long as you don't get that dreaded red light. Glenn Marsh, he said, right on, Chris, truckers keep the food moving forward. Exactly. I mean, well, that's everything. And I don't know if you guys heard this too, but it's been on the news and stuff like that. But remember they were talking about these computer chip type things where this is a reason why people are going, well, I'm not buying a new car anyway, so I don't give a good crap. You know, and it's like, well, it's not about that. They had it on the news, they're saying, well, it goes into TVs. There's different chips that go into TVs. Child's toys. You know, all things that have a computer chip in them. What is it? There was like cell towers, all kinds of other things that have these computer chips. Most things have like what they call an IC or integrated circuit chips and all kinds of stuff like that. If you were to, because they don't just produce just chips for cars and trucks, it goes to anything. So prices will start to rise. Not that they haven't risen enough, right? But they're going to rise even more. So can't wait for that, right? I was like, good, I'm not in a market for a new TV anyway, so we're good. You lost, Eliusta. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Hello, Chris. The tremendous scare that Elon Musk is going to give to those who inhabit the dark side of the moon. A great gift from Earth. Yeah, I know. Well, that's how we look after every country, right? What's that? You got gold? Some kind of, resource, natural resource? Oh, we're going to have to come take that from you. And that doesn't matter what country it is, right? And I think that's just wrong. Whatever happened to, why don't we do a trade? Like, I need something from your country, you need something from mine. Whatever happened to that? You know, no, I'm just going to go ahead and just take it. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. What's going on, alien hunting dragon? What's going on? What is happening? John Sharpie said, Chris, loved your last video of structures, but did NASA fuzz out the doors? If you look at, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and I want you to go back to that video if you get a chance. Go look at the first part. Well, I actually showed it in the second part as well. Go look at that, what looks like a structure instead of a butte or a hill. Look very closely in the very middle of it. You can actually see a it's in a darkened area, but it's even darker square inside there. I was waiting for somebody to say this, but nobody said it. Go back when you get a chance and have a look at that. And you got to go, oh my God, it's actually there. There's actually a square there. And I didn't notice that until I started to edit the video. And I went, oh my God, I didn't even notice that. So I didn't even notice that at first because I'm just busy with the different shapes and everything else. I didn't even think to look. And I was like, all of a sudden I saw it and I went, I'll be damned. So I said, I wonder if anybody else will notice this. So, because I could have put the arrows in there and said, look at this opening, this square darker opening. But I said, let me just see if anybody else has noticed. And nobody has. That's what's weird. But it is hard to see. So it's it's nobody else's fault that you didn't see it. It's hard to see, but you can see it. Jean Ward, you said my doctors closed their offices following the vaccine mandate that was imposed on them. They were not interested in the jab. And that's, you know what? From the very beginning, I was hearing doctors say, I'm good. Nurses aides, doesn't matter what it was. They were like, I'm good. I'm not getting it. I'm not going to issue the shots. People were saying this all over the place, right? And you know what? Good for you. It drives me insane that they want, because here's the thing, if you let them get away with one thing, they're going to keep doing this to everything. They're just going to keep infringing on your rights. That's all there is to it. So stand up. Simple as that. Stand up. Now, I'm not a big fan of this rioting crap. Just let's make that clear. All I'm saying, but if you have like a simple protest in your country, whether it be your town halls, whatever it may be, and you just go, you know, we've had enough. You know, tell them how you feel about it. It's not right. What's going on there, Mags K? I don't know if I said hello to you. Exactly, Ms. Heard. Yeah, when you're talking to Jean Wood, when your doctor refuses to vax, wow. Well, I was hearing that from the very beginning, and of course, they kept pushing the, it's safe, it's okay, you guys will be fine. Sure you will. Man, you might want to get that exhaust fixed. Hate it when that happens. There you go, John Ward. I was just thinking about doing the same thing. You said I just purchased a 65-inch QLED panel to check out anomalies. Oh, yeah. There you go. Now you're talking. Mine's a 4K, but, you know, when you start going into QLED with the colors and pictures so brilliant and sharp, that's a huge difference. Alfie Joe Bobby said, Chris, radio audio, A9. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. What did you think, though? I mean, I looked at that thing and I said, oh, my God, it's going to sound so cheesy. I put it on and went, wow. And if you look at the back, it actually has like a little flat, like woofer in the back of it. So you got your speaker, and I think it just takes the bass out of the back of that speaker. And either A, it's amplified through the back, it's taking the back bass, or it's actually amplified as well. But it has a good little sound for something that friggin' big, right? And what'd you think about the receive? The receive was like, boom, it was right on it, right? Unless that's what you're saying, audio A, and then of course 9, but really good. Mimi Reaction said, I knew it would be only a question of time until we start a conflict in space. Or what's going on is there's nothing going on in that part of the moon. It's completely abandoned, which is a very good possibility, right? They just moved on from the solar system. And that's basically what it comes down to. So there's nothing there. They just want to just erase the evidence of this past civilization, whatever it was that was living on there, right? Whether they were mining, living, doing both, who knows? But yeah, the photos I've seen of the moon and the cities I brought out, no doubt in my mind. And if somebody goes, oh, you actually believe that, huh? No, I don't believe anything. I know it. I don't believe it. I know it. From what I've seen and researched. Ricardo Petrozzi said if you get the Omicron BA1 or BA2 subvariants, you're basically protected pretty well and only suffered, yeah, exactly, minor ailments unless you have specific vulnerabilities. And that's true. Now, the funny thing about it is they're saying that it's Omicron. This is what's funny, at least locally here. If you remember correctly, I actually passed along to you guys, and of course you probably already heard this on your own local news, that Omicron was supposed to be very mild. So if you got it, you might have had a headache. You weren't feeling good for like a few days, and then you were fine. You got over it. But they're saying over here, they're like, well, there's people in the ICU. I want, wait a minute, hold on. How is this possible? Unless they're trying to pass it off, and it's actually the COVID-19 instead. That's the only thing I can think of, right? I just found that really weird. So, like I said, you can go into any doctor and you can say, I'm going to have, I need to be tested. I got a cold, I think. Well, we don't test for cold. We only test for COVID. You go, okay. But if you think about it, everything you have in a cold is in the list of COVID. So right off the bat, they're going, okay, you got COVID. And by the way, government, I'll take that kickback from that, telling this guy's got COVID. That's what it's all about, making that big bread, people. Now, is it fair to the people who are working in these hospitals? No, these people are absolutely run down. Locally here, they were talking about how the ambulances were picking these people up, and they weren't getting, they said, what's the chances of the person getting into the hospital right now? I said, not very good. They won't be in there admitted right away. Some of these ambulances have to sit there for a good hour, and that's at the very least up to like almost 24 hours before they can get somebody in. So they're trying to move people, get them in, move them like ICU if they need it, or in regular care, and then they're trying to get them fixed as fast as possible, get them out. There's just not enough room, you know, which is crazy, right? Pete Ferreira said, my daughter finally got 22 Traverse after 8 months with one chip missing, heated seats. Yeah, and that's just one chip. Now, if you get it for the actual, the computer itself, or you can call it the brain, call it what you will, ICU, whatever. Not the ICU, anyway, you get what I'm saying. The main computer, if you can't get the chips for that, you're not building vehicles. You can build them all day long, but they're not going to run. So they got to sit there and they got to put them aside and wait for these things to come in and immediately throw them into there and install it, and then it's off to be sold. So either way you look at it, it's crazy, right? Let me see. This thing just jumped on me here. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to jump all the way down here. Thank you, John. The ECU. I said ICU. Thinking of hospital still, my bad. But yeah, the ECU. So basically, if they don't have the computer chip for that, basically the ECU is the brain of you got your small box with, basically the main computer of the vehicle, controls your fuel and cutoffs and all this other crap and sensors and everything else. Well, if you don't have that, that vehicle's not running. So they can build them all day long, but they're doing away with, they got to sit there and just put them aside for now and say, well, or they got to scrap that line for now until they can, whatever line is getting these chips, they'll continue to do. So it's weird. I notice a lot of like Mitsubishi and Hyundai, they're still going pretty strong. At least the dealers around here are. So they're sitting there, they're salivating, going, oh yeah, I'm glad these other companies are not getting these chips because we are. So, they're making bank right now selling vehicles. So, hey, God bless them. That's the way I look at it. Oh, John, that's because you got old school. So my Oldsmobile has no chips. That's true. Unless you start getting to, oh no, there was a lot of the Chryslers were like that. Remember back in the day in late 70s? Well, maybe even mid 70s, they had the lean burn computer in them too. They were mounted right on the air intake, air enclosure and snorkel they had and everything else. But they had a lean burn computer built into it. Pretty funky. John Ward, you said the PCR test for Claude, or for cold, I guess you meant to say. It might have been just flu and COVID, not a true diagnostic tool. We should not be using them. The statistics are totally skewed. Malaria cases in South Africa are also passing as. That's what I'm saying. They're using anything, but they're getting a kickback from that. Like I said, you can go in there. I burned my hand on the stove. Okay, he's got COVID. Or it was caused by COVID. I mean, you know what I mean? As silly as that sounds. But what they're doing is just going, okay, as long as I tell the government that this guy has COVID, I get a kickback from it. They get a certain amount of money. Now, don't get me wrong, you're in the bed there, so you're using up some of that. But it's almost like they get a allotted amount for each patient, right? It's crazy. John Shaw, I'm not sure what you mean because you said throttle body. Now you usually get you usually have your TPS in a throttle body, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Chrysler like I was, where it was the lean burn, but of course there was another part to that too. It was on the firewall, but because I had a Chrysler Cordoba back in the day, it was a factory 318. Then I had one that was a 360, which is basically the same thing, just different heads, a little different, but nonetheless. The good thing about not having computers, like you said, it's just raw engine, which I love. I'd rather have that than all this newfangled BS and crap on these things. And they're making it so difficult for any the regular backyard mechanic to even work on these things, right? Alien Hunting Dragon. First crap car was a Vega. Man, not the Cosworth. A buddy of mine had the Cosworth, and my sister had one. It wasn't a Cosworth. That was actually a good little car. That was actually a good little car. My brother had bought. It was the engine he's got in his Monte Carlo right now. Came out of a drag car that was a Vega, and of course he had it was a little too radical for the road. So being 3/4 cam and all this other stuff was just a little too radical. He wanted something that was fast, but nothing like full-blown drag, right? So. Oop. Frack Centurion's in there. What's going on? Good to see you in there, Frack. John Steve said, here big time, behind in the test results, they involved private companies they closed because the government did not send people to them. Oh, imagine that. So they starved. Can't get that money. I love it. Equalizer, what's going on? Didn't even see you sneak in there. Good to see you in there. He said, when there is an EMP burst, all the new cars will be kaput. My old Land Rover will still be running. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I'd rather have an old car anyway. Alien Hunting Dragon, 454 and a 67 El Camino. Ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. It's a heavy car, but that 454, if it's built good, it'll move that piece of metal, I promise you. Especially like that Monty my brother had. I think it was 3,800 pounds. It's a pretty heavy vehicle. Made it run. H-Stars 1AV, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you in there. LOL, I had a 77 Cordoba. He used to say that. We used to joke around, me and my buddy. 400, there you go. V8 Hemi, 250s biamps. What do you want? There you go. There you go. I would love to get the 79 Cordoba that I had. Like I said, it had the 318. Wasn't super fast. I mean, I think it was like 165 horsepower. It was kind of lame. But back then, it wasn't a bad car, and it was comfortable as heck. It's like the nose on the car was like a 1/4 mile long. And it was just a good running car. It had ergonomically, everything was set up nice. And of course, it had the round gauges and everything else, had an automatic on the floor. Just a good running car. I'd love to have that thing today. Of course, there's a lot of cars I had in the past I'd love to have today, like my Opel Manta. Then I had the American one, if you want to call it. That was a Buick Opel. And of course, the Buick had them, and they were imported the Isuzu motors for those. Love to have a Manta. I had a 73 Opel Manta. I loved that little car. Had like the Ferrari backlights and everything else on it. Neat little car. Had 1900 cc engine in it, I believe. The 1.9. Been so long ago since I've had that car. Shring! Snow alert! Snow will be light. 5:26 p.m. it'll start. Yes. Oh, 31 degrees right now. That ain't too bad. I just put one up, one of those new weather stations, and it's got the rain gauge and all that crap in it, and wind direction and everything. The other one I had was it's just a regular sensor, when it had the little, your little cups there to measure the wind, and it's been out there. I've had it for a while. And when we had snow in the big storm we had, I was over there tapping away. I'm like, okay. And then I just vibrate the pole a little bit, get the snow off. Well, it started to build up snow again. I go out there and broke off one of the little cups off of it. And that's nice. So had it for a while anyway. Better off replacing it, so I did. And I love this one here. It's pretty sweet. It pretty much does everything, tells you everything you need to know. So happy with that. It's saying, it's showing snow too for a forecast, so not too bad. But yeah, that was a lot of fun setting up, especially the Wi-Fi part of it. No, not the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was right. The Wi-Fi. As far as the other signal it gets from the center, it's fine. Jean Moore, you said it was so easy to work on cars back in the 80s. All of the new computer integration is beyond me. Yeah, I mean, basically it's nothing more than, it's just a standard engine. Just be able to manage, get everything, the Windows perfect on there as far as, your sensors and anything else. It's the same thing. It's suck, bang, compress, blow. That's what an engine does. I know a girl like that. No, I'm kidding. But it's the same thing. Nothing's changed. It's the same engine. The only difference is just managed a whole lot better as far as sensors. But I could do away with them. I could care less. Do away with all that garbage and just put good stuff, and that's pretty much it. Just keep it simple. Whitebeard Sky Daddy, what's going on? Good to see you. I don't know if I said hello to you or whatever, but Amy Coley's a Capri Gia. Yeah, those are pretty neat. Alien Hunting Dragon, Opal Cat, yep. The Rally 1900, yep. I could have bought two of those Opal GTs back in the day, too. I used to call them the poor man's Corvette, rather. And at the time, I could have got them things for $1,700. Of course, you're talking about in the 80s. So that was still kind of a lot of money back then when you consider what you got paid, right? He had one that was a parts car, and the other one was, I took it for a ride. That was a good run little car, John, okay. Chris, I see you in a Pacer in green. Ugh. Listen, my aunt had one of those. I used to call it the upside-down fishbowl. And I forgot what that thing had. A 258 in it. It was a straight six, if I'm not mistaken. The doors weighed twice as much as I did. It was an ugly car. It was ugly as sin. And, but she had problems with it. They were telling her, the mechanic was telling her to junk the car. Wasn't worth the crap. And it was running pretty poorly. I said, when's the last time you tuned it up? She said, I don't know. I said, I'll take that as a never. So I just went through everything on the car and got it all running good because she had to, my aunt was very old and she would take my grandmother to the doctors as well. So so I wanted to make sure it ran good, and you just stick your hand in the window, boom, fire right up. So it ran good, never had an issue. In fact, she went over there and she gave her mechanic a piece of her mind, And the way she was, she's doesn't hold back. So she pretty much let him have it. He said, anytime you need something done to the car, let me know. Never mind these half-wits you call mechanics. Let's see. Adam, he said 30 degree. I guess it's, are you a Celsius on yours? 80% humidity. Excuse me. Oof. The drink is going to kill me yet. I got 31 degrees, 86%. So, yeah. Not much different from you. Somebody just said something about a Lada, later, whatever they call them, the Ladas there from, was that that was from Russia, wasn't it? Was that the Indrico? Was that the, you said the XR3i, wasn't that the Merker? Was it that one? It was that real funky looking thing. $321 cat box. You said it got a stick and wheel. And you can have, yeah, I might need a little bit more than that if I want to drive it. Chris, I bet it was orange. No. Good try, though. No, back in the day, believe it or not, I've had, oh, God. See, at the time, back in the 90s, up till around, say, mid-90s, early 90s, where I lived, you didn't need any insurance. So I had 4 or 5 cars at any given time. And what I'd do is I'd just buy them, fix them up, make a few dollars on them, make a couple $100 on them. Until a buddy of mine who worked with me says, he says, my uncle lives over in New York City, and he'll buy them off you. I went, why? He says, because they get 3 times as much. Because there's not a car in New York City that you can go, there's not a scratch or at least a dent in it. Nowhere. So if I sold him a car for $400 or $500, he'd go get triple that amount there. I went, really? So I just buy them, fix them. Here you go. He'd come down like every weekend, buy about 3 of them, take them out. But I've had all kinds of cars that just play around with, everything from foreign to domestic. It didn't matter. I didn't care. There was something to play around with. Had a 77 Camaro, 79 Camaro, T-tops. Nothing fancy. It's just a 350 4-barrel dual exhaust. The 77 was just a single exhaust. That was a 350 2-barrel. Nothing special on that. But I've had everything. Let me see. Oh God, like I said, the Cordoba. I had Honda Accords. You name it, I've driven everything, man. It's crazy. Like I said, the Opals I had. Dodge Aspen, factory 318. All the gauges, bucket seats, console. I mean, I had a bunch of them. I had a Maverick, I had a 73 Maverick, factory 302 AC, and I turned it into a grabber. I don't know if you guys know what a grabber is, but basically it was like the sporty model of the Maverick, if you will. I changed the rims, everything. It was a sharp-looking car, really good-looking car. But yeah, I just like to tinker. John Shaw, Chris, were you in the military? No, I wasn't. I was going to. I ended up helping my mom out when I got out of high school because she had a store and everything else. And then I just did my own thing, you know. But my brother was. He was in the Air Force for like 11 to 12 years. Andrew Coley said cars are so bland nowadays, no personality. I got to agree with you. Do they look good? Do they have the toys in them? Sure. But it's not the same. You know, it's just so, like you said, so blasé kind of thing, right? Alien Hunting Dragon, 62 Nova, 327. Yep. Especially if you built something and put that in that little car. That thing would run. Alfie Joe Bob. He said I had a 65 Triumph Spitfire. My brother-in-law had a Tramp. They used to call them Tramps back in the day. He had the VR6. And he took that out and put he dropped a Corvette motor in there. Of course, he had to have 2 radiators in it because the way those things are designed, they really don't have a lot of air come in. But I mean, he'd have the idle low, and he just barely put it. He just put it in reverse, and the wheels would just spin. The thing was so darn light. But what a fun toy! I don't care what you ran up against back in the '80s with that thing. Corvettes, Camaros, dust. We used to go down to the quarter mile. We called it the quarter mile back in the day because it was a simple stretch. It was right in the city, and we just raced all the time. And it was fun. He said, "You want to drive it?" He said, "But be careful. It's hard to get this thing to hook up." So we'd race it, and I'd be just all over the road, man, every gear. But you just take your foot out, get your foot out of it a little bit, and just get on it, and beat them every time. You know, people are like, "Oh, I'll race you pinks." I said, "You really don't want to do that." But yeah, he's won a few cars back in the day. Yep, TR7s, the old Tramps. Spitfires were cool. I like the little Spitfires. Those were pretty neat. Yeah, I kind of got those mixed up because you had remember you had the little bug eye, you had the Spitfires, you had all kinds of weird little foreign cars back in the day. Mimi, you said especially the colors of modern cars are so boring. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan. James Dragon, just back. What's happening? Good to see you there, James. Oh yeah, you're right, Mimi. Yeah, because you said years ago I saw a classic car parade, and there were so many different colors: baby blue, rather, yellow, green, turquoise. Oh yeah, and it's what made it special, right? And it's like there was so many backyard mechanics that would just work on anything. I mean, it was just crazy. Even the big older cars. Remember the old? I think it was a mid-'70s. There was this guy named Reggie. He come over to me. He was an African American dude, colored guy, and he had come over to me. I was working on it was my 70, no, it wasn't either. It was a 74 Chevy Impala. I was working on it. He says, "Hey, you know anything about cars?" I said, "Yeah, I tinker a little bit." He says, I got a car, man, I can't get running. This thing will not stay running to save my life. I said, what do you got? It's a 77 Lincoln Continental with the 460 in it. And I was like, okay, has it been tuned up? He says, it's got so much black smoke coming out of this thing, it's pathetic. I said, that thing's in bad shape if it's doing that. I go back there, you couldn't barely keep that thing running. But I said, well, I'll tell you what, let's go down to the auto parts store, get everything you need for this car. And, you know, we'll get it going, get some comp clean, we'll spray the hell out of this thing, get it all done. And so after we got it all straightened out, he took off with a friend of his. I said, yeah, I'll be still here, just, you know, when you get back. So I got it all running really nice for him, and took him for a blaster on the block, and oh my God, I hit the gas, and poof, you couldn't see the neighborhood. There's so much black crap poured out of it. So when he came back, he says, how's it running? So here's the keys. So he goes and he opens up the door. Don't open the door, close the door. Because he's so used to pumping the gas, trying to get this thing to start, or flooring it to try to dump it and then start it. I said, no, stick your hand in and start it. He just stuck his hand in the window. Oh my God. He's like, oh, this is awesome. So, you know, yeah, you gain a friend. You know what I mean? I said, he said, what do I owe you? I said, don't worry about it. It'd be all right. So, yeah, so I gained a friend. It was cool working on it. And even then, as big as that motor was, still had a ton of room in that thing. If you know anything about Lincolns, you don't understand. Talk about a land yacht. Is anybody like I am? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know even women love these cars, right? Everybody likes a good muscle car. Who doesn't? But when I think muscle car, I think 69 Camaro. I think Barracuda. I think, you know, like we were talking about, Novas. I think of cool cars, right? People out here, they get these new Mustangs. I'm just so burnt out of Mustangs, it's not even funny. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I like muscle? Yes. Like the Cobras, you know, you're talking about 700 horsepower, just like the Chargers. And of course, you got the Hellcats, and you got the... Are they cool and all? Yes. I'd still rather have an old muscle car all day long, even if the new one can beat it all day long. I don't care. It has no spirit to it. It's just bleh. It's like everybody who has one, you know, thinks they're king of the hill. I went, I wouldn't waste my time on it. You know, give me something old, man. I don't care if it's something slow. It's still a cool car. It's just something... It's nostalgic. It's just cool, man. You know, people will laugh at it. Oh, man, is that all that car had back in the day? Like, if you had something that was like 250 horsepower, I mean, you laugh about it now, because even the average six-cylinder can put out more than that. But back in the day, that was pretty stout. That was pretty good motor back then, you know. And if you're talking about like the, even the 305, the high output 305s were like 180, 188 horsepower, whatever they were. But they still, like the 442 Cutlasses, they had those in there, and some other cars as well. But, yeah. It's like every car now almost looks the same. That's what's sad, like you guys were just saying earlier. Mimi, you said here in Germany the Mustang is still a rare thing to see. Well, yeah, I mean, I get that. Over here, you just go, ugh. And it's always some, to be honest, some asshat that owns these cars. You know, they think they're king of the world. Next thing you know, you go, yeah, you see them a couple weeks later, because they drive recklessly. I'm talking about the people that don't respect them. You know, you'll see them later on, they got a huge dent in one of the rear quarters. You go, I wonder how that happened. Oh, that's right, you lost control of it. You know, no respect for the machine. You know, a machine's got no remorse. You know, you can't just abuse a thing. You better know what you're doing if you're going to buy something powerful. Tim Houston, you're talking to Indrid, you said 77 Pontiac Firebird. If it didn't come with the, what was it, the 301 or the, was it the 307? No, they didn't have the, no, I think they did. But as long as it wasn't a 301, it was at least a 400 or the 350, it'd be all right. But, yeah, ugh. Remember people having those, they're like, wow, Firebird, and then you look at it, you go, 301? Now, if it was the, I think they were this, my buddy went to prom with, I think it was his dad's, he had a 77 with a 301 turbo. And that thing used to move okay. It was pretty good little engine. It'd run okay. Renee, Papa's out put a rocket engine on his Corvette. No, actually, he put, what do you call it on there? He had, that was the, I'm going to draw a blank on that. No, that was hydrogen. He had 3 hydrogen tanks in the back. And he ran his Corvette on hydrogen. In fact, he actually had a solar station that actually powered it, that actually makes the, what do you call it? Hydrogen. So it was pretty cool how he did that. But that would have been funny. Going down the road, you go, how much thrust is that thing anyway? Not horsepower, but thrust. Tony Introvert, he said Ford Escorts. Yeah, I mean, if you had even the Ford, the Escort with the GT model was pretty sweet, right? And even some of them were dependable, even though a lot of people didn't care for them. They said, well, they're girly cars and everything else. It's like, whatever. You know, it comes down to what you like. That's the way I look at it. And what fits your lifestyle. What just feels good. Like, I get in a car, and if it's ergonomically set up where it just feels good, you're just comfortable in it, and just, you know, just everything just fits well, then I'm down with it, you know? Explanation says 69 Impala, the Winchesters. Yeah, yeah. Some of them had, well, depending on what you had. If it had the 350, they had the 396, they had the 454, depending on what you had. Pretty sweet. Eric Gower said, "Yup, Chris, I love my 72 Monte Carlo. Slow for today, but sounds badass." Yeah, my brother's was like, he had like 500 horse. It was maybe around almost the same thing as far as torque. It was didn't run the bottle on it. It was just raw horsepower. And like I said, I mean, he was always tinkering. He was an aircraft mechanic. So, and he used to run. We lived down in Myrtle Beach. We used to run down at Myrtle Beach, and there was a drag strip down there. We used to race, and I mean, you'd have, like, he raced his buddy's Grand National GNX. He said, man, that thing just took me right out of the hole. Whoosh, see ya. But then came up and just caught him and beat him at the very end. So, nice cars, but give me old school, build it, we're good to go. That's as simple as that. GNX, I'll take it all day long, though. Nice car. Flux capacitor 72 Monte, yeah. 50 years later, they still get to similar MPGs. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Back in the day, I remember people used to laugh about that was the little Yugos from Yugoslavia and all those little Tinker toys and everything else. But they were fun little cars. Like my brother had a Ford Fiesta back in the day, and now not to be, you know, confused with the Festiva, totally different, and. I think that was based on the cars over from the UK. But that little thing would run. And my brother, because Andrew was so small, he'd work on it. It was just a little toy to him. But it got to the point where it's just, you know, he's traveling a lot and stuff. It just got worn out. He had to just get rid of it. But, and then all he had was his Monte. And the problem with the Monte was that you have this much snow, and keep in mind he had the 454 built. It was worthless. You could put brand new tires. It was totally worthless. It just... So I ended up selling him a Honda Accord that I had. It was a 79 Honda Accord. It was like a wine color, like a reddish wine color type thing. And I think I sold it for like $250. What I did is I had to fix one of the CVU joints or whatever and put it together. And I said, give me the same money I got into it. And just to help you, it was a little 5-speed. And it ran good. And of course, he ran that to death. And I don't mean beat on it, but I mean, you know, it just... a lot of miles. He'd travel, I think it was like 80 miles round trip to his job every day. So, yeah. He just wear shit out. I mean, you know. Let me jump all the way down here. John Shop, yep, Ford Fiesta. Carlo Petrozzi said, I learned to drive in a Ford Fiesta, popular 1.1 liter engine. And like I said, he had I think it was a little 5-speed in those, and 4 or 5. And it would run pretty good. I mean, it was funny. I had bought, and I'd love to get one of these again, a lot of people laugh when you talk about, what was that car? I'm going to forget what it's called now. Oh my God. What is that thing called? It was a Chevy, but it was, I want to say Cavalier. It's not a Cavalier. Chevy Citation. People go, but I had the Citation X11. I don't know if you've ever seen those. It's a cool little car. Had a little cowl on the hood. Sporty. Had all the sport gauges in it. But the problem with it was second gear was gone when I got it. And I was going to fix it up and everything else. So he said, oh, you want to race it? I was like, dude, I got second gear missing. So I took off, he took off, and we were right there together, and I had to keep trying to lift to try to get it to go finally into third, but you're revving, so but usually, like in a GM, the things will just jump that gear if you're driving normal. It'll just wind out first, and then boom, just go right to third. But because I was trying to wind it out, and he still squeaked me out, but I'm like, yeah, well, if this had second gear, you wouldn't have had a prayer. But love that little X11. I wish I had one of those. A little 2.8, nothing special, but it was just a fun little car, and it was good on gas. You gotta remember that. So you can still have performance and good gas mileage. So Eric Gower said, by the way, and we can actually switch things here. The James Webb Telescope has reached L2 orbit and is now cooling down. BS. Well, it may be, because the way they had this thing, it had to be a certain way to get there. In other words, so it had like its panels on the back, and it was facing the sun. So while this thing opened up, it wouldn't cause any issues with it. Now, once it gets there, and of course, it's got to do its calibrations and everything else. And then kind of like what the rovers did when they first got on Mars, right? They had to, once they, got touched down, everything turned on, it did a systems check, calibrated, did whatever it had to do. And then, of course, then it proceeded. So this is going to be no different. I'm sure there'll have to be alignment. I don't know if it has to like slightly align the mirrors and everything just a hair bit or whatever it's got to do. Get everything focused, because you got a prime focus kind of thing. It's just everything about this thing has to be just right. And they said there's like a million things. It's got to be open to close. Of course, I'm exaggerating on the numbers, but you get what I'm saying. There's just a boatload of stuff that they got to do to this thing to get it to start working the way they want it to. So I'm interested to see what they're going to find. Of course, they'll never tell anybody what they're really going to find, because I can almost promise you, folks, listen, they're going to find all kinds of civilizations out there. Now, will they say anything? Gots. Probably not. You can almost bet on it. And I can say, yeah, we just found a thriving, civilization about, 400 million mile, Earth, whatever, light years away, rather. So nobody's going to say anything, even if it was that far out. I don't know why they just don't come out with it. In fact, that just reminds me. What was this thing I was just reading earlier on? Let me see if I can get rid of this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is on CNN Politics, but it says, you can see it right here. I don't know if it's going to... it's going to mess with, because it is. Anyway, it says top U.S. spy warns too many government secrets hide national security. Harms national security. Overclassification of government secret both undermines national security by blocking the intelligence community's ability to share critical information and erodes the basic trust of our citizens have in their government. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, said in the letter to Congress obtained by CNN. The statement from the nation's top spy chief is among the most forceful acknowledgments from a sitting intelligence officer of a problem that transparency advocates have warned keeps important information about U.S. government activities hidden from the public. A debate that in recent years has played out in high-profile court fights over memoirs by former Trump administration officials, most notably former National Security John Bolton. So, I mean, they're all over this. It'd be cool to actually see that they go, hey, why don't you just start telling the public? I mean, well, again, will they ever divulge this? You can bet they won't. But it'd be nice it'd be nice to be able to start doing this. That would be cool. There we go. James Webb is taking the pictures of E.T.'s home, and we can't see it. Yeah, probably right about that. Oh yeah. Flux Capacity said, can you imagine what the James Webb can see be more addictive than the cell phone? Oh God, yeah. Are you kidding me? James Smart, he said, Metallica or Megadeth and Lamb of God on tour. I don't know. I'm still partial to Metallica because they've been around forever too. You know, of course, Megadeth has been too. You know them. They've been around since probably early '80s, if I'm not mistaken. But Metallica, again, they go way back as well. So I guess it just depends on the flavor. You know what I'm saying? That you like. I don't mind a lot of. I like a lot of good music. Some of it, not so much. You get into that screamo stuff, you're kind of like, okay, we're like borderline. That's a little bit too much. John Shabby said, what about Slipknot? A buddy of mine listens to them a lot. I'm not, some of the music's not bad. I shouldn't say that I would hate the band because I don't. But kind of borderline for me, right? I really don't actually listen to them, but he does. It's not bad. Samantha Morris has said, oh, she must be getting bored from the topics. I don't blame her. Gotta love yous and leave yous. Catch up on replay. Stay safe, everyone. All right, Samantha, you do the same. Thanks for being here as always, and much love to you. And any support you give, you're always here commenting or asking questions. So thanks for being here as well. And of course, have a good weekend. Right. HTOS 1AV. I've been thinking about maybe selling that reel-to-reel I've got, that Sony. I don't know if you'd be interested in that, but I also have the remote control of that, which I've never found yet. I've been on Amazon, not Amazon, I'm sorry, eBay and stuff like that. Can't find that thing nowhere. And they're both like almost mint condition, except for the reel-to-reel does need belts, which kind of makes sense. But I've been thinking about it because I like to have somebody else enjoy it because I'm not using it. But, I almost died when I seen some of the prices these things are going for. My God! But I can understand why. Sony reel-to-reels they're not cheesy, and this one here was all soft touch. It wasn't like the old clunky play clunk 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 kind of thing, big VU meters and everything else. I think it was a TC850. If you want to look that up, it's a really good reel-to-reel. I see one in there was like $1,000. Like what? But I don't think it even had the remote to it, which is really weird. Hey, sounds funny. Yes, very interested. Don't get me wrong, it won't be cheap because, like I said, it was my uncle's. He bought it brand new back in the day. I think he bought it back in early '80s. I could be wrong. It might have been even sooner than that. But I got the Ampex reels, and I even got a lot of oldies that he had. My uncle, what he used to do is he used to deal with a lot of friends who had. This is what he used to do. He used to put on shows for handicapped people, right? And so he knew a lot of people from radio stations and everything else. And he'd get things like, like these gold records from Elvis Presley and all these other things. He'd had them on his wall. Had all kinds of stuff. And, then he put a lot of this onto reels, of course, and put them on tape. And really, really nice. I mean, really nice piece. It probably weighs about half as much as I do. I think it's insanely big. But great looking piece. I don't know if I still got the power cord to it. I think I do. I'll check on that. But yeah, everything lights up and everything else, and it's just really a nice unit. And I've got plastic over it. I always have plastic over it, even though it's in my living room. I still can't, because of the dust or whatever you might get in the air. And same thing with the remote is like this big. It's about that fat, and it's got the big cord, and it's not even dry rotted. The thing's still in great shape. So, like I said, it's been kicking it around. So if you want to hit me up, you can hit me up at marsanomalies@aol.com, and I can probably show you some pictures of it. And like I said, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, although it's got a lot of sentimental value to it, it's like, yeah, but it's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. I would love to see somebody who's going to take care of it and enjoy the music, which would be awesome, you know. Oh yeah, like I said, it's definitely, he bought it and that was it. And like I said, no hands have been in it, nothing like that. I think the belts, I think $37. You can buy them on eBay for that. And like I said, it's a real nice piece, because a lot of those were made by, nice real wood and stuff like that. Of course, it wasn't the best wood, but you know what I'm saying. And I prefer this has got like the silver face as opposed to the black. Black I love a lot, but the way this thing's laid out, it just looks really sharp. It really does. AM PM. You said, can you burn to a drawer a saucer that is not there? No. What do you call it? It's only going to bring out what's already there, or what's being hidden under a layer. But that's pretty much it. I was going back to the older one you just put on the AM/PM. You said, when will Amazon build a depot on Mars? Guess the date, win a prize. Free flight to Mars. That would be a good prize. What do you guys think? Yeah, exactly, H-Toss. Yeah, he said, belts are no biggie. I just did this on my Onkyo cassette deck. Yeah, what do you got there? Tell me you don't have the Dragon. Those are nice. Those Onkyo cassette decks. Those things are ungodly. You literally have to give away your firstborn just to buy one. No, actually, I'm thinking of the wrong one. I'm sorry. It's not the Dragon. It's not Onkyo. Or was it? I may be getting them mixed up. No, it wasn't a Nakamichi either. No, it is a Nakamichi. It is. I think it's a Nakamichi. I messed up. Oops. TD4 says, see the UFOs flying in the background of the ISS last week? No, I haven't seen that. Somebody put up a video for that? I wouldn't mind checking that out. Because we know, listen, we've seen this 1,000 times. People are like, oh yeah, they're like, they see something come into view. Oh, we got to change the camera view. So all of a sudden they shut this camera down and all of a sudden they're somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and down there in the boring part of right above Earth, where you've seen something literally drift in front of it. Now, that could be a couple things. That could be a military satellite they don't want you to see, so they'll go ahead and get that out of there. But usually they're not in the same orbit, right? But for whatever reason. Or it is something that's otherworldly and it's literally coming into view. They're like, nope, next. So you'll see it's a, oh, stand by while we change this camera. Or difficulties or whatever BS they give us. It's like, come on. When did you email me, Josh? Was it today? Oh, okay, H-Toss. You said it's just an Onkyo. I do have a B&O. Oh, okay, so you got a Bang & Olufsen as well. Those are actually cool looking. Even the stereos are neat looking, right? The stereo, the cassettes, and wow, really funky looking, but I like them. Kurt Abanas, you said there's a way to recreate. There is a way to recreate technology, return to the moon, resurrect Warren von Braun. There you go. That'll work. That will work. Oh, they got the technology. When they said they got rid of the technology, I think people took that out of context, meaning it's old school junk and they just don't want to use it anymore. They said they lost the technology. Well, clearly they know how they built it. I mean, so the only thing I can think of is they're just saying that, listen, we just don't, excuse me, it's old technology. We're not going to go back to that. It's as simple as that. We have new plans for newer stuff, which reminds me, we're going to get into what we were talking about. Remember when I was telling you guys about when we were saying that, you know, they kept going back to the moon. That's what I believe, right? So I ran into this, this document, and I don't know if you guys have seen this yourselves, but it's called a Lunex, okay? Now, when you read this, it's basically talking about, this is back in 1959, and it sounds to me like they're setting up the missions that are coming up in late 60s, early 70s, right? But a couple differences. One, they plan to stay there. There was actually, they were going to send a craft with supplies first, and then of course they're going to send the Apollo mission. So the question is that why the Apollo missions were there? Send the material up there first, and just maybe it's that kind of, just put it together, just kind of like a giant erector set, right? Just put it together, whatever. Was it something that they landed, it was already a small structure, and all they had to do is just kind of get it hooked up and everything else and do whatever? Of course, they weren't there that long. I think some of the missions were only there for like a couple days. So I'm going, how much can you get done in a couple days? But they did talk about, remember when I said, no, they weren't up there for rocks and soil? No, they weren't there to say anything good about it. But this is what they said in the article. They said that they were trying to see how the surface was, because they were going to build on that. So they want to make sure it was, you know, whatever surface they wanted, whether it be mostly flat, was it soft, hard material, whatever they want to build on, or drop these structures on. Kind of weird. Here's what gets more interesting. Remember when I was saying to you, what if they never stopped going? What if they took something like the SR-71 and they just retrofitted different engines, changed the engines out or whatever, different propulsion, and they flew up there? Oh, check this out. And what was funny about it is I said, and you can see it right here, Lunar Expedition Plan Lunex, and this says May 1961, but that's not when this was written up. Now, if we go to page 18, and of course, I'll give you guys the link to this so you guys can check this out. Let's go down here. Okay. Don't care. Let me see. Let me see where we at. The objective of the Lunar Expedition Program is a manned exploration of the moon, with the first manned lunar landing to occur as soon as possible. The execution of this plan will land 3 men on the moon, so we're talking about, and what do you call it, the Apollo, and return them during the third quarter of calendar year 1967, and will establish a lunar expedition in 1968. Completion of this plan will require the development of equipment, materials, and techniques. Now, of course, they are talking about the regular equipment to transport men in from the lunar surface and to provide a lunar facility which will allow men to live and work in extremely harsh lunar environment. Lunar facility. Oh, what could they possibly mean by that, right? But this way, you know, like I said, we can read a whole bunch of this. If we drop down to, and I can go down to page 101, and of course this has got 198 pages, so you guys will find this a real interesting read. Now, check this out. This is cool. Let me see. Let's see what the blueprints of this craft was going to be. Let me get my fed head out of the way here. Okay, check this out. Okay. And it's showing like, they got all kinds of, like the blueprints talking about all kinds of stuff here, heat pumps and all kinds of crazy stuff. But check this out, right? Now, check this picture out. That looks eerily familiar. Where have we seen this? This is the other, I kind of stitched it together, make it slightly bigger. Where have we seen this? Let me see. SR-71, perhaps? Remember when I was saying that? Although it's not as long and it's a little bit, Obviously, it's shorter. Engines are different, and they got big boosters on the back so that, I'm going to put it over here. We can just downsize this a hair bit. But check that out. Look at the wings on it. They're not as big and more aerodynamic. But keep in mind, this SR-71 Blackbird came out. It was designed in the 40s, blueprinted and everything else, and was built in the 50s. Imagine that. What was I saying all along? If you could build a craft like this, fly to the moon, you know they kept on doing it. They didn't have a crude-looking spaceship. It looked just like the SR-71. So imagine that. And that was just off the top of my head, folks. I just, boom, and there you go. But check that out. But you can see they actually had the rocket thrusters in the back. And I'll show you the picture a little bit better here. Where they have, there's the actual other thrusters. And of course, this would detach from this other, well, the other actual craft, right? So, like I said, when you go back to this thing, you look at the way this thing is designed, wow, that is just cool. And we can actually bring this up a little bit more. I don't know how we'll be able to see these words any better. Yeah, maybe a hair bit. But they got, like it says, go to all kinds of the gear and everything else. It's showing you each piece, general arrangement, and this is manned lunar payload. But what they were going to do is they're going to send a payload up first and then send men after. This brings out a whole new question. Is it possible these Apollo missions were to do just that? Erect something on the moon. And they kept going there every year. You know what I mean? Until it was finished. Is that possible? And I still don't believe they even stopped. I believe they kept on going, and it's been there, and they've been there ever since. Mimi Reaction said, yeah, probably flying back and forth to the moon. Yeah, you can almost bet on it. Almost guarantee it. And like I said, when I seen this, I was like, what? What is going on here? And like I said, you can see where it said secret and everything, and they got rid of all that. But you can see the way they got this thing laid out and how the people would be that, you know, of course, you got the engine room, and of course, you got navigation, you get the pilots and all this other stuff. And I just thought that was wild. And it doesn't surprise me. I've said this, like I said, off the top of my head, and I just ran into this thing. Design and mock-up. Nuclear lunar facility power. You know, of course, they're talking about the actual spacecraft, too. You can see lunar ascent system, Earth return rather, life supports and all this other stuff. Moon suite or capsule or suit, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Crew compartment design, ecological system, communications, data handling. They talk about all kinds of data links, manned vehicle, video. And of course, you guys get, I'm telling you, this is a cool read. I haven't even been through the whole thing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not even through the whole thing. But you can see what they're talking about right here. Soft lunar landing, returning, lunar transport vehicle, manned and cargo. But they wanted to stay there. It wasn't just a, hey, let's just go up there, check out some lunar rocks, and then we're out of this bad boy. No, this wasn't that way at all. They were thinking about actually putting a structure up there, and I'm going, this changes a little bit the way I think. I wonder if that's the case. Let me see. There was another one too. I'm trying. It wasn't a diagram, but it was a. Let me see. It was funny because they said, should we build different stuff, meaning different equipment? They said no. With the current technology we have, see right there. It says, although the foregoing developments are difficult, no technological breakthrough will be required. All designs can be based on extrapolation of present technology. Now keep in mind, our military, and of course the space program is probably, at the time, 50 years ahead of us as far as the public knowing this. So yeah. So you can bet they had some serious stuff, and they go, no, we're good. We can build all this. We're good. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty funky. Hi, Jobot. You said, Chris, they should point the telescope toward the moon or Mars and get a real good look. I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have on both accounts. You can bet on it, in fact. And they were saying something, too. I've seen another program where they talked about you know, this was the real race. Because they were talking about Mars too. It wasn't just a space race. Because remember, you know, the Soviet Union put out Sputnik. And of course, that was the first unmanned vehicle out in space. We had to show them up. I don't think that was the case at all. We're going back to the 50s, and they were sending, Soviet Union was sending stuff to Mars. What did they call that one there? Remember I told you it was the little, let me put my head back in here. It was the MBOP, or whatever they call it, MPOP or something like that. It was that weird little rover, which literally had like skis for legs and would walk like this, and it was tethered to the lander. Well, you know, keep in mind that they were doing this, they were trying this long before the Apollo mission, so they knew how to get spacecrafts from here to there. So that wasn't an issue. What they were trying to do is get something on the moon, and this goes back again, this is talking about 1959, I think it was, where they had this already, their minds made up, and I think this is all talking about the Apollo missions, which makes sense. Talking about the lunar rover, talking about different things that they're going to use and all that, and, you know, but then they talked about staying there. I'm going, really? Many tests will be required to develop the necessary equipment, of course. In addition to the above-listed hardware developments, additional information is required about the lunar surface, this is what I was talking about, such as its physical and roughness characteristics. High-resolution, get this, high-resolution photographs of an entire lunar surface may provide this information. Present NASA plans, if expedited, could provide the information for this LUNEX program. So who is this company? Because they're saying we're going to include NASA. Wait a minute. Is this the DOD talking about this? I mean, NASA's Surveyor, soft lunar landing program could also incorporate radio light, beacons which would be used later in conjunction with the terminal landing system. A core sample of lunar material is required as soon as possible so that the design of the lunar landing devices and lunar facilities can be accomplished. So, folks, they weren't just talking about going up there and looking at some rocks. And here's the other thing, too. Why would you want to go on the moon just to look at simple rocks? Why don't we build a facility up there so we can check out the rocks? I think they're great. So, it's one thing to say, okay, there has to be a motive. You can't just build a structure up there and take, you know, you're taking chances, right, that people could die. Now, you know as well as I do, they're going to build this. There's a motive. There's a reason. Either there's things up there they want to stay up there and keep looking at, structures, spacecraft. They just make their way out to these places, these crafts and these structures, and they just do their studies, bring it back to the facilities, and of course they communicate back and forth with, to Earth. Or was it just simply to say, hey, we built a base up here, nah, Soviet Union. Really? I don't think so. And of course they're talking about going back into the atmosphere, and 37,000 feet per second, and what is one of the major issues, guidance equipment must be very accurate to ensure that the re-entry angle is within plus or minus 2 degrees. Too steep an entry angle would cause overheating and intolerable G-loads, which too shallow an entry angle may permit the LUNEX re-entry vehicle to skip out of the atmosphere into a high eccentric Earth orbit, which, yeah, that's not a good thing. That's bad news. So, but you get the idea. This thing is insane. This document contains information affecting the national defense. So there you go, right? It's kind of like the DOD. We're saying, at the United States within them. See, it's not, you can't really see this. Titles, and of course, section 793 and 794, the transmission of revelation of which in a manner as unauthorized person is prohibited by law. So that's a fine print, by the way. And it's hard to read because it's not very clear. But you can see right here, May 1961, but that's not when it was originally written up. But you can see they were going right here. The date on here says 8873. Confidential, and it says right here, I'm trying to remember what the hell, there was one on here, where did it say it? Oh, it's right here. By authority of JSC, Security Classification Officer. So, yeah, you can bet this is military, folks. What's going on there, Jimmy M? Yeah, exactly, Ricardo. You said exceed the time limits of the ecological. Yeah, polite way of saying astronauts will die. Well, that's exactly right. So, but when you read this, you know, like I said, they weren't just going up there for just simple missions. Now, let's get this rock, a little dust, you know, maybe do a little core. Now, they were probably doing that to test the grounds where to put this equipment or this facility. That part I get. But to just say, well, we're just collecting dust because we just want to collect some dust and some rocks. No, that's not why they were there, ever. And this kind of solidifies what I've been saying all along, in that they were probably going there well after these. They probably went before these missions to begin with. And then, of course, these are the ones we know about. So if they kept sending them, people would go, hey, what's these rockets they keep sending up? Well, they don't have to worry about that now because, you know, they're actually saying, hey, public, guess what? Here's the Apollo missions. Here's, you know, blah, 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 blah. So, but I don't think they stopped going. And like I said, when you see this shape of this craft, it looks a lot like the SR-71. The difference is the rockets are on the back as opposed to the side. The wings are pretty much the same thing, although not as aerodynamic. But it's not actually going through air. So it doesn't need to be so precise and streamlined and everything else. But you get the idea. Imagine that. And when I stumbled on this, I was like, oh my God, check this out. Really, really cool. That's quite an airplane to see, too. Thing is insane. I was in down in Alabama, and went to the Aeronautics Museum. Pretty sweet. But it's right there, folks. I mean, the thing looks just like it, only in a miniature version, and the propulsion's been changed. That's what I've been saying all along. Steve Gautam, your question was, Chris, is the Earth's magnetic field about to flip? That's what they're saying. Now, whether it's going to or not, it's almost like they're saying it's changing a little bit, like it's not as fast as they said back in the day, like whatever, how many years ago, where they literally say it just like takes days. It literally just flips. So I'm not sure about all that, but there's words that it's probably going to, or it is in the process of doing that. I don't know. I don't know how much that would affect us, but maybe it's got something to do with some of the weather we're having too. Terry Kelling, what's going on? Said, evening, Chris. What do you think is the real reason for the space is going to crash? We were just talking about that earlier, Terry, where I find it a little bizarre. And it's on, like I said, it's on the other side of the moon, which a lot of people have found in the photos, found structures in what look like cities. Why do it there? What's the point? Did anybody get an actual reason why they're doing this, or just because, hey, we just feel like bouncing one off? I mean, what were they saying? What was it? Because to be truthful, I didn't read the whole story. I just heard that that there was the plan to do that. And I'm going, why? What is the point? They'll come up with something else, of course, but I think they're just there to, like, pretty much get rid of evidence. Indra Cole said, fascinating stuff. I need to leave now. Stay safe, everyone. All right, Indra Cole, thanks for being here. Appreciate your comments and your questions. Have yourself a good weekend there, right? War crime. You said if they admit everything and told everyone the truth about the moon and Mars, do you think it would change people's point of view in life? I think it would change it for the good. Of course, I'm just thinking about the way I view it. And it's especially everybody here. Because, like I said before, we're part of something much larger. So I think, in my eyes, that's awesome. You know, and people go, what happens if they're evil, they were scary, whatever. That's then. But the whole point is, it just shows, one, we're not the only people around. And you'd be a fool to believe that we are anyway. But the other thing is, too, is that I go, are you kidding me? That's awesome. I'd love to be able to see the structures there. We're only seeing bits and pieces. We're seeing bits and pieces on Mars and the moon, and of course other bodies we've looked at. So I think that's very awesome. Now, would some people who don't get into this kind of thing be frightened? That's a possibility. I don't know. I don't know of anybody here that would be. I think that they would say, yeah, I welcome it. Give me more information. That's just me, though. Jimmy M, he said they're mining helium-3. Well, I mean, we've seen cities on the moon. So, which you can see them from aerial, like, on satellite, the LROC photos, and you can see these things laid out, and they're sprawled out. I think they were living there, but they may have been mining that too. Maybe kind of like what we do. We have our resources here on Earth, whether it be oil, and of course you get a lot of derivatives from that, whether it be our renewable, whether it be wind, solar, whatever. Maybe that was their energy source, right? And so when you say mining, maybe it was for their own use to power up their areas down there. I don't know. But it would make more sense, because people go, well, what the heck would they power this stuff with? Well, it could be done with, I guess, solar. They got enough of it. They could do it that way, or like we were talking about, helium-3. Ricardo Pedrazi, motive equals they want the tech. It's what it comes down to. Jimmy M, he said China is already doing it. Yeah, they are on the other side of the moon, yes, on the far side. And of course, they're there for a reason too. They're there for all that. They're more towards the South Pole, but they're there for all that too. I mean, when they first showed the Chang'e 4 and even the Chang'e 3, what a mess. These photos look absolutely disgusting. And I'm being very polite about that. When you see it, it looked like they tried to learn off NASA and they failed miserably and did an absolutely crappy job of it. Wow. Talk about a slap. If I was one of their public, I'd be demanding answers. What? Are you kidding me? With all the cameras we got out today, this is what you got to show us? Come on. It's a crime. H. Strauss 1AV said, an early argument was that the dust on the lunar surface would be many feet deep if the moon is billions of years old. However, yeah, we're only talking about inches, right? It was only like, what, 4 to 6 inches deep? And they're going, how is that? Yeah. And of course, there's metals on there. They found all different kinds of metals. White Babe Sky Daddy said, people amaze me being so short-sighted that they can't see the benefits of space development. Yeah, I know. I don't get it either. They go, what about here on Earth? And I agree. We got so much homeless. We got so many. Those should be helped out, right? And if you want to still do the exploration out in space, by all means, go for it. But help people here on Earth. I mean, let's do that first. But it is imperative that we actually are spacefaring, because at some point we will pay the price, right? We'll get a rock that'll slam the Earth and that'll be the end of it. Game over, have a nice day, and good knowing you, kind of thing. And that's pretty much how it's going to go if we don't, be spacefaring. So I get the idea of that, but like a lot of people are so angry, they're like, oh, what about, Jesus, these people, the poor people, how about Earth? And I totally agree with them. I do. Can we have both? But so, no, we're just going to be greedy and just take everything for ourselves for the black budget. I was thinking the same thing, Ricardo. You must be reading my mind when you said a screen grab of that SR-71 image would make a cool T-shirt. Yes, absolutely. Make a cool design is right. They wanted to actually, war crime, they wanted to actually launch a couple moons. So there'd be like a giant nightlight just kind of shining down. I'm going, wait a minute, so let me get this right. So the moon that we have now is not enough. We have to have fake moons. I'm a little curious. Does anybody get that? I mean, Yeah. H-1AV, you said, yeah, just a few inches. Yep, exactly. I remember seeing that white-beard Sky Dad. He said, any of you guys recall the U.S. Air Force Triangle that was docked at the ISS about 8 or 10 years ago? It was crystal clear ISS footage, but after the initial buzz, it was scrubbed off the internet. Yeah, it was literally, I think it was facing up, and it was actually attached, like right on the side of the ISS. I don't know if it was even quite that long ago, but it was, yeah, it was definitely a few years ago. Tony Introvert, you said, but this day and age, we can't see crap in space. Who do we believe? Well, I mean, if you read between the lines on these photos, you can see some crazy stuff. I mean, we can't see everything 100% clear, which we'd love to be able to see that, and I would too, I agree. All we could do is try to cut through the BS, and just the stuff I've seen in satellite photos, and like I said, the next moon video, wait until you see that one. At first you're like, I'm not really seeing so much there, but then you see something else, you go, okay, yeah, these are also structures of some sort. Just really, really cool stuff. And I like to mix it up for you guys, like have some Mars, some Moon. I think both of them are equally cool because we're seeing things on both of these bodies, one the Moon and obviously Mars, that now we try to piece together, were they linked? Were they, were the same people that built these things on the Moon, were they the same people that were on Mars? Of course, some people say yes, some people say no. But I would have to think if you're spacefaring, you're not going to stop just at Mars. You're not going to stop at the Moon. It's kind of like we've been to the Moon. Now we want to go to Mars. Now we're going to go there. Now we're going to go there. So even if we can't go there in person and you know, do a manned mission, you can bet we'll do it some other way, whether it be robotics or orbiters or whatever. You can almost bet. And you can believe that these people have already done this, probably even never told anybody that they went to different moons, to these planets, went to the different planets, probably tried to land on other moons and stuff like that, and of course they crashed and failed. Of course you won't see that, but you can bet that they have. And I'm not talking about Mercury or Venus, I'm talking about other planets way out there, you know, Saturn, so on and so forth. You know, like I said, we had orbiting going around Pluto. Of course, it's not considered a planet anymore, but you get the idea. So I think that they've done a lot more than they're saying just going to Mars. Yeah, I think it's a lot more than that. Yeah, that was the 10cc, said the Yale Cross moon bomb. That was actually the two, wasn't it? The two sister crafts. That was, if I'm not mistaken, because they had one, and we talked about this not long ago, where one followed the other. One literally bombed, it had a warhead on it, and then of course it exploded and all the debris come up, and the back one was to measure if there's any water in there, any vapor, and of course anything else they were trying to look for in that, basically was sniffing the debris. And of course then once it sent its information back, because it was back pretty far from the first one, and then of course it sent this information back, and then of course it crash landed as well. I think that's the one you're talking about, the lacrosse. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see here. We do this. Let's see. Oh, you're right. Ricardo, yeah, those are pretty sweet. Pretty sweet shirts. I'm on Corti.com. I'll drop the link for the hell. It's pretty sweet. Those are pretty cool. Decided to look it up when you said that. Here's a link there to those t-shirts Ricardo was just talking about. Pretty sweet. Yeah, there were supposed to be sister ones, Ricardo. They were supposed to be like identical crafts. Only difference is one had a warhead and the other one just sniffed the debris coming off of it. Hi, Paranormal. Thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you, man. So here are a couple bucks to get yourself a beer. Sweet. Appreciate you, man. You guys are awesome. That is awesome. Metalhead, what's going on? I think God destroyed Mars for their evil ways. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it makes you wonder what really happened on that planet, whether it's something really devious, like somehow we did it, or that they warred against, you know, other, whatever it may be, aliens or another civilization, or they just had like some kind of, you know, nuclear explosions. Maybe something happened where we've done this. We've had accidents on this planet. Thankfully, it didn't kill off the whole darn planet, but you can imagine, right, that if we had done that, picture about 3 or 4 of these nuclear power plants going off at a time, that probably wouldn't be good. The fallout would be bad, and just getting into the air and everything else would be bad. Now, just imagine something that's bigger than anything we've ever detonated, and it was like, I forget what the times, whatever, how many number it was, compared to what we'd have here on Earth, but it was insane. It made ours look like firecrackers. Anything we've ever launched or tested made it look like a firecracker. This is the one we were talking about here. The strange object in space is blasting out radio waves every 18 minutes. Something extraordinary bright in space is pulsing far slower than most similar cosmic objects, and it may be a strange type of neutron star that we have never seen before. And of course, they got this weird, I guess they're saying it's in this area right here on the right-hand side of that, but what I find interesting is, where does it say? Oh, where was it at? No. I'm trying to remember where was this thing at. It said, oh, there it is. I was concerned that it was aliens, but it is across a very wide range of frequencies, and that means it could be a natural process. Why? Does anybody see how idiotic that sounds? This is not an artificial signal, says Hurley Walker. She and her colleagues are now looking for objects like this so we can figure out what they are. I'm a little confused. What if there are civilizations out there like us, okay? What if you have civilizations that some are more technologically advanced? Maybe here's like a small scale, just for something to talk about. You could talk on, you know, your different cell phone frequencies, like 1900 gigs, whatever it may be. You can go back to your old school regular cordless phone, 6 gig, you know, 6 gigahertz, then you had the 2.4 gigahertz, then you had whatever. It's like saying, okay, we can't, what happens if you wanted to transmit to these phones, and of course we're going to just use receivers. Maybe people are not so technologically advanced, so they're sending this information out to the more technologically advanced and the ones that aren't so technologically advanced, and they're just sending this out in multiple frequencies. Why is this hard to comprehend? Oh, right off the bat, no, it can't be aliens. Now, of course, I'm not sure if I'd use aliens as the word. I would use civilizations. But I just find that a little weird. Does anybody else find that weird? Like, you know, that they wouldn't do that? Why wouldn't they be multiple frequencies? Like the FRBs, the fast radio bursts. Remember they were saying, oh, they're just lights in them. There's one way over there, 400 million light years away, and this one here is only 30 million light years away. It can't be aliens, or it's just pulsars or whatever. Why is people having a problem with this? You know, especially these wackos over at SETI. You know as well as I do, these guys, they have this, they know what they're doing. So now they're building, what did we talk about last time? They're building a laser receiver or a light receiver. Remember I was saying that? You or we on this planet wouldn't know what the hell those things are because we don't have the technology to receive and decode what's in these light signals. So you know as well as I do. So unless you have some kind of converter, because you can have it like what we have down here, down converters and everything else for like satellites and stuff. But I'm sure it'd be a lot more technologically advanced. You get this light, boom, it receives it. It's got to decode what's in that. Just like we have fiber optics here on cable. You can put streaming tons of channels and your internet and all this other stuff through that light. Well, how do we know that these civilizations are not doing the same thing? You know, they're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Maybe all of the civilizations that are out there are not on the same level. I don't see that as a problem, but they automatically dismiss this. Am I just seeing this wrong, or what do you guys think? James Cragen, you said, Chris, let's be honest here tonight, man. I mean it. Let's all take all the great vids you have shared with us for years showing evidence of an ET civilization on the moon and Mars and try to deny it, man. Yeah, exactly. It's like there's just too much out there. And even the other people that are doing these, and I'm not talking about those like Daniel channels, whatever the hell that thing is, with this fake crap coming out. You've seen people bring this stuff out. Like we were just talking, somebody was just saying, you know, somebody seen like I think it was, what was it, Mr. MB333, whatever it was, where he said it, Renee, you said he seen something look like a large bird flew by an international space station. Really bizarre if it's real. So if that is real, and we don't even have to, listen, we don't even have to go by that. All we got to do is go by the other people who have been watching the live feeds and seen something come into view. And again, they shut the camera off. You know, please stand by. I'm going to turn on another camera. Why? Because there's something in view of that. They don't want you to see it. So wait a minute. Take your eye off that. Let's put our eye down here now. And that's what they're doing. We've seen plenty of things in these moon photos, and we're going to continue to see that. Things on Mars. Crazy stuff. And I think, again, like I said in this last video, that Ingenuity helicopter is not there to help the navigation of the Perseverance rover. Stop it. You know, again, Curiosity didn't need it. Why does Perseverance need it? Because it's not there for that. It's there for the things that we've seen in these photos we were able to bring out. It's flying above this stuff, looking at it, checking it out, taking photos, sending it back. Of course, it's got to transmit to the rover and then transmit back up to the orbiter or directly to Earth. They're finding this stuff. That's what that helicopter's there for. It's exactly what it's there for. And this rover is just like Curiosity. Its whole trip, Curiosity, was to land about a mile, maybe 2 miles away from the very base of in Gale Crater at Mount Sharp. It was supposed to go to the base, run along it, and then go up into the hill. It's supposed to be 10 miles total. Now, I think they exceeded that because they kept going in different directions trying to find the best way. And a lot of times it got blocked, so they had to go back. Or, because you can look at the map and see that, they would go into different areas and pull back out and go. Or they were just in there looking at different areas. Well, let's check all of this out. Okay, back out and let's go check out this area. Come on. And they probably said, you know what? A lot of these structures are really tall. If we had something that could fly up here, that would be great. Hence the Ingenuity. So, yeah. So I think that's absolutely bogus that they come up with this crap. See, this is what we're talking about. It pulses with a regular rhythm, brightening for 30 to 60 seconds once every 18.18 minutes. What? It's precisely at this time. Nothing with a rhythm similar to this has been found before. Most flashing radio objects in the sky pulse far faster, brightening and disappearing again in a matter of seconds. No one really thought of looking for objects on this time scale because we can't think of any mechanism that can produce them, and yet they exist, said Hurley. Again, light communications. This is not complicated. And you know they've entertained that idea. You know they have. John Sharp, he said, got to go to bed and sleep, so I will catch everyone next week. 2320. Oh, okay, I got you. All right, man. Have a good one, John. Appreciate you being here. And have a good weekend here, right? Oh, this thing just jumped on me here, but let's see. James Grant, thank you again for your support, brother. He said, Chris, let's stop humoring the denying world, man. Well, I'd like to get people to open their minds. In other words, there's a lot of people that may be new to the channel, and they want to know what it's all about, right? So we already know. People have been here. You know what the channel's all about. But we'd like to get in deeply into the conversation, look at it from all angles, so that they can better understand what we're getting at and how we analyze this here on the channel. So this is the reason why I'll get into it a little deeper, and that's, so I understand your point. But this is the reason why I do that, because if you knew, you're probably going, I'm not really familiar. I've never been on this live feed, but I'd love to be able to see what this is all about and what what they talk about. And of course, we talked about everything from COVID to cars to this to that. But we should be able to entertain that if people want to talk about different things. But it's mostly space if we can. But you see what I'm saying. We talked about the moon, the LoonX project, and of course, you guys will get the link to that. You know that. And then we have, these. Like I said, we had the FRBs, fast radio bursts, and now we're seeing it again. It's different frequencies. Clearly, it can't be, it can't be anything else. Well, of course, these are radio waves, but it can't be anything else. It's got to be some kind of whatever they want to come up with. No, I don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying that they're lying, because, like you said, they're the remnant of a massive star that has exploded. It may be a strange neutron star. They're just guessing. Massive star that had exploded, examining celestial objects like it could help us understand the death throes of stars. And I get that. And there is a such thing, of course. And I get that. But it's like they automatically dismiss the idea that it could be anything else. It said that Natasha Hurley Walker in Curtin University in Perth, Australia, and her colleagues found this object using the Murchison, Wide Field Array, or the MWA, a radio telescope in Australia. After spotting a barrage of radio waves that seemed to appear and then disappear, then dug into archive data taken by the MWA in early 2018 and found 71 more pulses. Imagine that. So, yeah. AMPM, he said, Chris, what do you say about the miles-high spire on Mars? Now, I know they had one on the moon, and there was supposed to be one on Mars. I have never seen it. I think I've seen a picture of it. So I really haven't really gotten into it in order to actually answer that correctly, or go into depth into it, right? But regardless of the fact, we know this stuff all over that planet. And like I said, these guys didn't just land these things. They didn't just say, hey, well, listen, here's the layout of Mars, right? Okay, Jimmy, go ahead and put that over your eyes. Just take a shot with a dot. Okay, that's where we're landing. No, you guys know as well as I do, this is well thought out, methodical, methodically done. They knew exactly where they were going, what they were doing. They're there for that reason. Joba says, Chris, thank you for showing us the truth that NASA never will. Well, I mean, I've gotten into this because I just said, wow, I didn't know what I've been missing all this time. I want to know what's in these photos. I want to know, it's almost like it's like space crack. Once you get a bit of that, you just want to keep seeing it. You want to keep looking for this stuff because you go, I just want all the pieces to the puzzle. So this is the reason why I enjoy doing this, because that's pretty much it. Because you never know what you're going to find in these photos. Ricardo, you said I can think of a mechanism that produces the signals from that strange radio object, and I'm not being a smartass, think electricity. Yeah, I thought about that too. It's a possibility, sure, but they're seriously controlled. And you're talking 18.18 minutes. So that's a possibility, totally agree. But the way they dismiss it is what's really funny. I mean, why even mention anything about alien to begin with? That's what makes it really amusing, right? And they automatically, like I said, but we thought it might be that, but it's not. I just think that's funny. Like I said, I was concerned that it might be aliens. Why would you say that if you don't even believe in this stuff? You think it's all just stars and everything else. But it is across a very wide range of frequencies, and that means it must be a natural process. That doesn't mean that. You know, I could rip apart one of my transmitters here, and I could transmit on more than one frequency. I could do that with ease. So, you know, you have different crystals or whatever way you do it, PLLs, phase lock loops. You know, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff and transmit different ones, or just have different transmitters, and you're just talking through all of them all at once. I mean, how the hell? Why dismiss that possibility? I think they know better. You got radio waves, you got the FRBs, you got these light flashes. I think, like I said, it's basically like the cosmic newspaper, and they're just, and these people are receiving it, and okay, they're sitting behind a computer or something of whatever shows them information. They go, oh, let's see what's going on in Alpha Centauri tomorrow. Oh, really? They're having issues. Okay. And they can see all the news from around the universe, and we're just so wet behind the ears, we don't have a clue. But we're trying to find that clue. Yeah, H-Toss. Yeah, he said intergalactic GPS, internet? How do we know? But like I said, it blows my mind how quickly and how eager they are to just dismiss it. Mimi, what if they play the top 40? Yeah, interesting. Yes, Galaxy or Universe 99.7. Oh. Ricardo, you said the helicopter would help with navigation if the rover is having, you said it before I could type it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it makes sense that, like I said, the Curiosity didn't need a helicopter, but while they're roving around, they go, man, just can't get to the top of that. We can't literally get up on top and look. We need to try to have something we can bring with us, a drone or something that can fly, so we can actually check this stuff out a little bit better, and hence, building of the ingenuity. Mimi, you said, I think they're leaving breadcrumbs for us. Huh, that could be. Or they're saying, hey, we're here. It's too bad you guys don't know what we're saying. Or they're probably talking about saying, yeah, these guys are literally ready to come out in space, guys. And I don't mean unmanned, I mean manned. Ricardo said, a neutron star with a strong magnetic field means if it's rotating or orbiting or a binary orbit, you have regulation of movement. Therefore, you get pulses. Like I said, I believe that too, because it's not out of the question, right? Absolutely. But it's just funny they had 71 of these, but they all seem to be perfectly timed. That's what's really weird. Now, I don't know if it's right down to the second, of course, but still, it's kind of weird, man. And they're talking about 30 to 60 seconds as opposed to just like a microsecond or a split second of these FRBs. They're talking about a lot longer. I don't know. Ricardo, my bank seems to have blocked Google Pay. Really? That's kind of goofy. From Super Chat transmission, so I have... You're not the other one that said that, though. I wonder if it's something to do with YouTube. This is the reason why, like I said, I leave the other link up there for the PayPal. If you can do it that way, too, it's just as fun, just as good. But I know people have said that. Not a lot of people, but every now and then they'll say, I don't know why I'm having issues with this. So that's why, you know, they say any other way you can pay. And, of course, they come up with some other stuff, kind of weird payments and stuff. I go, I'll just leave the PayPal up on the top so people can use that if they're having issues. H-Toss one of these said, what if an aliens can't hear audio? Would they like fractals, graphics instead? Well, it could very well be. And maybe that's what it does. Maybe it puts it into a language they can understand without actually hearing on a screen. And of course, you know what that means because you can see it. And you can read it, and then maybe, who knows, maybe it's, I don't know. You know, great questions. Metalhead, you said they started building on Mars in the 70s. I think it was even sooner than that, to be truthful with you. If they already had, you know, you got, like, again, you got the Soviet Union sending probes to Mars. You've got us doing the same thing. Of course, they had a lot of failed stuff try to get to Mars or fly by Mars. But then they had landers, and we had landers. And this goes back, they were doing this, folks, I'm telling you, this goes back to the 40s and 50s. They were started sending these things to other planets. So you know as well as I do, if they've seen anything of any value, right off the bat, we got to get there. Get the best minds you can. Let's go. Sit down at a round table. What do we do? So they draw up things like this Lunex PDF we got here, and I'm going to share it with you guys, where they come up with the ideas to build for these Apollo missions. They can't be talking about anything else but the Apollo missions. But it just goes to show you they weren't looking just to fly there and come back. They were looking to actually stay there with facilities. So is that already had happened? And again, this happened, I think it was written up in 59. I forget what it was. But let's call it 60. And it started in the 60s. Then they said, we're going to do this in 73, I think it was. You can bet they've already done this prior. But let's say I'm wrong and you're correct. And I wouldn't have a problem with that because I believe either way it could be right. And they've probably been on Mars for the longest time, exploring it, ripping it apart, finding out what's this and what's that. Like I said, I don't think they even stopped going to the moon. Not for a moment. Eric Gower, he said, I just find it hard to believe that a helicopter can fly in 1% of Earth's atmosphere. Well, I know what you're saying as far as like Mars and stuff. This is the reason why they had to turn the rotors. I think it was like, first it was like 2,600 RPMs, and of course they got counter rotors on that. But then it became, I think, wintertime. Of course, the air gets more dense, so they had to bump it up to like 2,800 RPMs, roughly 27, 28. And of course, it's only got a small body to it, right? I mean, when I say small, it's good size, but, and of course, the rotors are so much bigger. I think there's more pressure towards the ground, meaning more air, denser air. This is the reason why this thing is capable of going up so far, but as it goes further and further from the ground, it gets less and less. So therefore, it starts to, they have to try to speed it up even more to hang up higher. And I think what it is, because they were saying they were going like 3 meters or 10 feet, right? Or roughly 11 feet. So they were trying to do that, and I think what they were trying to do was they probably measured, look, we can only go from the ground itself up to a certain amount of feet to where, okay, we can't go anymore where the thing will start to malfunction, meaning we just don't have enough RPMs to keep this thing flying. Although I believe they do, because I think it's thicker air than what they're saying. Again, we already know what the sky color is there. Of course, they want to paint it as a red piece of trash, but it's not. It's a blue sky. But, you know, I don't think they're telling the whole truth about Mars, and I think everybody agrees on that. It could very well be, Ricardo. He said maybe it's a Visa card services that are being the arsehole or a Google Pay services. Who knows? Yeah, you're talking to James. But it could very well be. Could very well be. Taking off Long Island, New York. He said, much love from Long Island and Manhattan. All right, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Make sure you batten down the hatches. I don't know if you guys, you're going to probably get a good amount of snow too. So not that you're not used to that, right? But still, batten down the hatches. Make sure you're safe and get whatever it is that you need, whether it's food, batteries, whatever it is you have. I don't know if you got a generator or whatever you got. But yeah, I'd be, Manhattan probably won't be that bad. I mean, Long Island probably won't be that bad. But Long Island's probably going to get an ass whooping. So I would definitely batten down the hatches. But anyway, thanks for being here and have yourself a good weekend there, right? Josh D said, radio to the others probably what smoke signals and drum communication is for us. Exactly. It may be totally different. Again, they're trying to cater to a bunch of different civilizations that may be, you know, not as high tech. On the other side of the token, this civilization over here is technologically advanced and get light communications, and some of them need like regular radio waves or whatever. And see, it'd be interesting if they said what kind of radio waves they were. Meaning, what frequencies were they at? They're saying multiple. What frequencies are we talking about? What band are we on? What are they transmitting? That's what I'd be interested in. What's going on there, Mr. Goathard? Good to see you in there. Lionel D. Pessac? Hello from France. What's going on? Good to see you in there. I love it when everybody from around the world here, New Zealand, Australia, everybody over in the big pond, you got the UK, you got everybody in there, Scotland, you got France, you got everybody. I love it. It's just, you know why? I'll tell you why, because you must have heard me talk about this before. When I was big time into radio, like I said, I used to be on CB and everything else, and that's what I used to love doing, DXing. And I used to talk to people in the UK and in England and different places. And I don't know if I told you the story, but my wife and I, we would go into below channel 1, down in the frequencies, down below the 1 to 40 band, and we would be talking, and it would be so loud on 1 to 40, all the skipping, people coming in from all countries and everything else. I said, let's just get away from it. She would just tell me, when she's on break, we'd talk to her and everything else. So I put like the small amplifier, linear amplifier in a car, and we were talking, and this one I had the 79 Honda Civic. It was a Honda-matic, and had the 1200cc engine, which you guys would love. But we were talking one day, and a guy breaks in, and he says, break? And I said, yeah, go ahead. And right off the bat, accent. It was awesome. He's like, hello, just wonder where you're at. So I was like, well, we're over here, and at the time it was in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And he said, well, you sound on BBC quality over here. It sounded really good. And his name was Nigel. And he would come in every day after that for like 2 weeks at lunchtime, talk to my wife and myself every darn day. I was like, holy shit. So he'd come in here, tell us what's going on. We'd talk back and forth with him, and we had a great time. And this is the reason why I love, it's kind of like communicating there, although we're not using radio waves, but it's still good to communicate and talk to other people around the world. So that's why you get like a high out of this. It's kind of cool, right? Yeah, this thing jumped all the way down the bottom here. So let me just do this. Ricardo, you said, I really love the idea that the fast radio bursts, neutron stars, magna stars, and were some form of intergalactic cell towers. We don't know. Now, I wonder if these people are actually saying, listen, we're really, really building receivers. And then they said that. They're actually building receivers for, like, laser. Like, because they, well, according to them, they want to build it for basically NASA, for these other, it was SETI that actually building this, but because they're doing this for receiving. But they also said, like NASA was talking about how they want to do laser communications. I think they're already doing it. I think they've been doing this for years. But let's say I'm wrong, regardless of the fact. SETI wants to build this receiver to receive like laser and light communications. What for? Because they know there's something out there other than standard radio waves. Think about it. And they know that they're basically barking up the wrong tree if they're going, oh, maybe they're on 27 megahertz. Are you serious? Seriously? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I don't remember what frequencies they are, but I know they go from one spectrum to another at SETI, and of course, they receive a bunch of frequencies all at once, and they can just dial in whatever the hell they want to listen to. Of course, they can listen to pulsars and everything else just by tuning in. But to me, they're probably saying, listen, we're probably looking at this all wrong. These light bursts may in fact be communications. We need to build a receiver that can do this, receive it. Even if we can't figure out how to decipher it, we'll figure that out later. And maybe when they get this burst in it, maybe it shows a bunch of frequencies or different information, they just don't understand it, but they'll figure it out, kind of like the movie Contact. Remember that? They had a carrier, but then they had a sub-carrier in there. Kind of like, it's kind of like talking on CB. You can talk in upper or lower sideband, which is either side of that said frequency, right? So you had a sub-carrier in there as well with sub-information. Oops. I just literally was just looking at Josh D's and it just jumped. Said he just listens to a small bandwidth, the hydrogen one, because they think that is most likely very human-centered way of thinking. Well, yeah, but you'd be surprised how much frequency they literally, and it's not just them, it's actual computer-driven now, where they're listening to multi-frequencies. Now, if something pops up, like in the radio world, they call it birdies. Like you hear it would be transmitting from one, but you hear a birdie up on another frequency. It's like another harmonic going from one frequency to another. So if the thing catches any weird signal, boop, they'll lock onto it, and of course it'll play it. And of course, there's other people that just do the old-fashioned way, just tune in and listen, kind of like the movie Contact, so on and so forth. Ricardo, break 19. I'm looking for the bandit. Come back. We're going to do what they say can't be done. Oh yeah, Smokey and the Bandit. H-1AV said shortwave was awesome. I miss my old Drake. Yeah, but now you can get these other little ATS 25s. You can get the Malahit DSP, and it's got the waterfall display. You can see all the frequency. I mean, this thing is cool. And like I said, I got it on a loop antenna, and I haven't listened in a while, to be honest with you guys. But so I got two different receivers on one antenna, split it off, and on this one here, on the ATS 25, I got the time wave DSP. You know, basically noise filter or different bandwidth filters. And the other one, you really don't need it. It's got a great noise blanker on it and works very well. Really, really cool. Especially if you get a storm that's going off, like this storm here, and anybody who knows anything about shortwave or talking on the radio, this soda's going to kill me. As soon as this storm comes up the northeast and goes off towards whether it go up into Canada or towards the Europe, it'll open up the atmosphere in the ionosphere, and you'll be sitting there listening to all over the world and talk all over the world. That's what we used to love. Every time we have like a hurricane or something like that, yeah, we like get it, start firing up. And it's like, well, just try it on a very minimal power, which is like, you know, if you're using the President Lincoln, I get that thing, it would do about 45, 50 watts, and if not, then turn on the X-Force, we'll pump out about 1,000 watts. Either way, we're going to be heard. Long Island, New York, he said Dyson spheres are all over. Well, I think they're going to find a lot more of that, and you know, and because they're going to see different, they're going to be doing infrared. But you know as well as I do, they're going to be looking at different light spectrums and everything else. You know they're going to be. This thing's probably the most sophisticated. Again, this was back in what? When did they stop messing with this thing? In early 2000s? Might have been even sooner, but let's call it early 2000s. But they literally were they're putting everything they can throw at it. What about this thing? What about this? You know they're putting the most awesome technology into this thing. So you'd want to pack it as full of stuff as you can so you can literally go, okay, we want to see every spectrum. We want to see everything there is so that when we look at a certain area of space, we want to be able to differentiate anything from a planet to something else. Well, wait a minute, there's something floating near that planet and it's giving off like a certain radiation or a signal. Well, that planet is very warm or it's cold, and you know what I mean? They can just tell, if it's a Dyson fan, they can tell, you know? So, Gold High, you said, I really want to know what they will do when there are actually people on Mars. Well, if we're already up there, then we've already communicated with them, right? So we pretty much have a relationship with them, but they're probably going, it's too bad you guys can't get here yet. No, but at some point you will. But you know as well as I do, if they probably went to, well, they went to the moon, so you can almost bet they probably went to Mars as well. But it's funny how you see the spacecraft from the Apollo missions going up there. It's almost like they were doing this as, you know, look how weak we are as far as like our technology. It's the best we got to offer. But yet when you look at this other photo, you get things that look like, you know, this diagram that looks like this. You know, it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't look anything like the spacecraft that was used in the Apollo missions. Not at all. What's going on? Yeah. Make that a lot smaller. What's going on here? That doesn't look anything like they brought up there. So did they have a special mission, or I should say separate mission, compared to the Apollo mission? So you can go, oh, this is the best we got to offer. This is the best technology we have, when they were building this to go to the moon. I say they've done it. Think about it. If you send this thing up, you might be fooled thinking it's one of the Apollo missions going up. Or they said, oh no, we just launched these just to test. But in actuality, this thing took off. It then separated from its booster and took off and went straight to the moon. And look at the way it's designed. Chances are it's got landing gear like a regular plane. I even said that. I said, well, it's kind of like they'll either use the old space shuttles, which they used to build the ISS, or they'll use something like the SR-71, and there you go. It looks a lot like it as far as I'm concerned, but like I said, I knew they would change the propulsion, they would change different things about it, but there you go. It looks like a miniature version of it. Joe Bot says Skip Land is the best. Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. Goat, your question was, you really believe we've been up there on Mars already? I can't say for sure. Knowing that the technology that they were trying to design, like I'm talking about in this right here, it would not surprise me in a million years that they've tried to already go to a manned mission to Mars as well. If you've already been to the moon, you've already, I don't know if I use the term perfected, but you've got it down pat as far as sending a rocket, meaning unmanned, to Mars or the moon. Okay, so if you send it to the moon, you go, okay, we can do this, it's pretty on the regular, we can do this pretty well. So what's to stop us from going to Mars? Other than time, of course, time is huge because you could be dead meat by the time you get to Mars, right? So, but what if they had already that down, the calculations and everything else? They've already sent things to Mars, so we already know how to get it there. Okay, if we could build something like this, streamlined, you know, you just have to get a good acceleration, shut the engines off, and just go there. Fly down to the surface, boom, you're there. And maybe they're going to do the same thing to Mars, where they already send, like they're going to do to the moon here, according to this article, where they were going to send up another spacecraft that has, basically it's cargo and not people. Go up there, it lands, there's all the stuff you need to build, and then the Apollo mission comes along and they put it together. Or it's something like this kept going after the missions, or prior, who knows? I don't know. I don't have the answers. But just the way they wanted to design this tells me, what? I think they were perfectly capable of doing it. Now, do I have any proof of that? No, of course not. Mimi React, he said, there definitely is a side mission. It wouldn't surprise me, not in the least bit. Would not even surprise me. Robert Morgan, what's going on? He said, crap, I'm late. Oh, you're all right. Yeah, you are late to the party, but you're all right. Ricardo, he said, is that design what superseded Apollo, you think? When public interest, when they moved to Mark II? I'm thinking it may be two different missions. And again, I'm just throwing this around. Is it possible that the Apollo missions were obviously the real deal? Now, I don't think they were up there playing with soil. And now, they might have been checking the ground, like they said in this article, or this, this PDF here, where they were testing the ground to see, you know, how hard or soft it was or anything like that, to build this facility. Now, is it possible that they had two different missions? One was similar to this, where they were sending cargo and people, meaning two separate crafts. And the other thing we were seeing, the regular capsule and everything for the Apollo missions, was a different mission. One was a PR move, the other one was the actual top secret thing going on. I don't know. Why is that so drastically different? When we look at the Apollo missions and we look at this, why is it so drastically different in design? Did they decide to go, it's just not going to work? I don't know. They're talking about building this. They already had the SR-1 already built and pretty much perfect. Yep, thing jumped to me again. Goat High said, hell, I would die for going to such a mission. If they, like I said, we've even talked about that. A couple of you guys had asked me, Chris, would you go up to ask? Sure, why not? Because I know better. I know what's up there. I'd be like, sure, I'll go. Of course, they'd probably take me to the part of the planet, there'd be nothing there. This is it. Dust. That's what Terry Gold, he said, my mommy said I could only hang out for 2 minutes. She said she doesn't want my head filled with aliens and crap. I don't know if I call it aliens and crap, but because we're basically talking about a lot of the American missions and other missions, you know. So it's good stuff to look into. And like I said, we can read this after. Like I said, after the Hangout, which won't be too much longer. You know, I'm going to put the link up there anyway, these links that we used. I'm not seeing the buffer on this side, guys. What's going on, Dean Brazil? He said, yep, buffering is back. I don't see it on here. And I was seeing it all over the place last week. Now, maybe I just take my eyes off it when it's doing it, but I'm seeing that this is it's still fine. Renee V said, who knows, they don't use ships at all, but anything else, we just don't know. I keep a lot of possibilities open. Who knows, 15 minutes, plot Mars, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, because we don't know that, right? If you listen to people who used to talk about jump rooms, how they had, excuse me, they had like structures where you go into, and you could be in an elevator, and that's a jump room. Somehow just like, almost like Star Trek, it'll like transport you from there directly to Mars, and you literally walk out of a facility, and you're on the Martian surface. I'm not sure I believe all that. You know, let's see. Several people talked about going there. But it gets really bizarre when you hear them talking about things like, well, when we had to be out there, the military had to guard us from these, what looked like dinosaurs on Mars' surface. I went, what? Really? And some of them could fly. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe all that. Come on. If that was true, these rovers would have been attacked a long time ago. It would have been, yeah, they would have pulled these things to ribbons by now. So that's why I don't believe that, unless they killed them all off. But let me see. Miss Heard taking off? I've seen somebody say, yeah, you know, good night or something. Long Island, Chris got the big gulp. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, Miss Heard, you said, good night, Chris and everyone. Much love and many blessings to you all. Thanks, Miss Heard. Thanks for being here. Much love to you as well. And have yourself a great weekend. Be safe there, right? I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. The bottom. Hey, Johnson says, no buffering here. Solid on a 325 meg connection. Yeah, mine runs around 940. So just under a gig. So, yeah, it should be pretty solid. Keep in mind, I'm actually, you know, I'm going to use the term broadcasting as well as receiving. So I've got a modem out there, a router, and I got another router in here. It splits these two computers. So you got both. I'm going to use the term transmitting and receiving at the same time, but literally putting out, you know, broadcast, if you will, and then seeing the same things you guys see on that computer. So got a lot going on here, but we're running around 950 somewhere in there, 940, 950. Unless, of course, everybody's like on there, they're streaming everything. It'll drop it down a bit, of course, like anybody else's. Kurt Urbanus says perhaps SR-71 could explode on re-entry because it lacks the technology to re-enter accurate 2 degrees into the atmosphere. Just speculating. Well, yeah, I mean, but if they built it like this, you see on the screen, it's a lot miniature version of that, and it's made to actually do that. So in other words, because the SR-71 is so much longer, it could probably have the probability of that thing like not going in perfect would probably be like astronomically high, where this is a lot shorter and maybe it's designed for that kind of re-entry, right? And they probably wouldn't have that issue. And again, they retrofitted, just made a smaller version, or retrofitted like I said, miniaturized the SR-71 and then put its own engines in the back, propulsion plus the extra thrusters in the back as well, the other thruster stage. So, I don't know. But to me, that's a cool design, and it kind of reinforced what I said a long time ago, and I'm going, huh, I'll be damned. So, yeah. Marino Rapan, what's going on? Lately, Angry Astronaut re-released his interview with Dr. Levin about how he found life on Mars. Those were Viking missions. Dr. Levin, rest in peace, to him, said there was mushrooms. Really? Well, that wouldn't surprise me, because I remember hearing something about, they talked about like plants and stuff like that, right? Now, I've never seen that, but you could see the way sometimes they hide some of these things in the pictures. It kind of looks like small shrubs or some kind of greenery, we'll call it that, right? Organics. So it does not surprise me. And like we talked about, like you said about the Viking missions back in 75, 76, when they landed down there, this thing took a picture, probably X amount of pictures, who knows, right? Just kept going, made a giant pan of the whole area, sent it back, and they went, oh my God, we got to get there. So they knew what they found there. I mean, they were there with the lander, seen some stuff that were like unimaginable, said, we got to get there. It's as simple as that. I mean, Metalhead, he says, super soldiers claimed they worked on Mars for 20 years, then regenerate back 20 years. Yeah, I always had a problem with that part of it. Now, they did say that, because I forget what that other guy's name was. The one of the soldiers was supposed to be on there. One was supposed to be on there 11 years. One was on there for 20 years. I'm not so sure I believe that. Do you guys believe any of that? Now, am I saying it's out of the question? No, definitely not. But I find it really odd, right? Oh, where'd it go? This thing just jumped in. Somebody said, Backyard Astronaut. Said, just curious, Chris, do you own a telescope yourself? I actually have two of them, but they're like a 6-inch telescope. They're nothing really fancy, and I haven't been really looking at those. But like I said, I got things in the plans for maybe a P1000 or a better scope. My buddy's got one. He doesn't use a lot, and I'd love to be able to get it off. It's an 11-inch, nothing super big, and I would love to get it off him. So I've asked him about it, kind of threw it at him real quick, and he's like, yeah, kind of laughed about it. I was like, oh, dude, give it up. So I've seen people do some spectacular things with an 11-inch telescope, and it depends on, the different bolos and the different cameras that you use. It has a lot to do with it, and how you zoom in, because I've seen people with bigger telescopes that look like trash when they look at the moon, and yet 11-inch can do better. How does that make any sense? Unless the people with the bigger ones are just not using them correctly. Well, clearly they're not, because the ones with 11-inch can see a lot better. So, yeah. But I've got to it, but I haven't been really using them. And I bought a digital camera for one of them, but I was like, I just haven't really used it that much, and I'd like to get something much bigger. So, who knows? I'd like to start with the P1000 now. What do you guys think? That'd be awesome. Ricardo said, just check my connection, 940.40. There you go. Yep. Of course, the upload is probably slow. Mine, they actually, this is the first time in a long time this has ever happened, but they called me up, and I called them up because I was asking them about, I bought a brand new combo. I hate combo anything, but I bought the brand new modem / router. Of course, I kept my other router too. I just piggybacked it because I got a lot of things on that particular one. And it's the new wireless. I use that one for our phones and everything else. The other one I slaved it onto that one so that I can use my home cameras, whether it be outside, inside cameras. And of course, I've got, like I said, my new weather station. That's through Wi-Fi and stuff like that. You can see it on the Weather Underground, so on and so forth. So I got like internet radios, I've got TVs, I've got, you name it. So I got to, instead of changing everything over, password and try to get the cameras working, because if anybody owns a wireless camera, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can be a pain in the rear end, although it's pretty easy, but it can be. So instead of just taking off and throwing the thing out and have to do every password, do everything over again on every single thing, I just slave it, just piggyback it to the new one, and that's what I've been using. But yeah, mine. What they did was they gave me one of these. They said, "Oh, and sir, by the way, we can we're gonna put you in a different tier, meaning you get like instead of like 12 megs up, it was like 42." And instead of like my average was around 550, 575, it went up to like 950. So I was like, sweet, and $10 less. I said, thank you very much. So yeah, I wasn't complaining. Terry Kelling, he said, I have a sneaking suspicion, or yeah, I guess you were saying that, that the Nazis went to and built bases on the moon during World War II. Well, that's what they say. I mean, I don't see why not. And the reason why I say that is, well, Soviet Union, like I said, back in the 40s and 50s, they were sending crafts to different planets. That's back then. Of course, they had some failures, and then they had some ones that actually went there. Some would fail after so many seconds, and then finally they got something to work a little bit. So, yeah. So why couldn't any other country do that? We were doing it. Soviet Union was doing that. Why couldn't, Russia, Germany, anybody else doing it? Who knows? Sure. Metalhead, you said, buy the Nikon. I'm getting one too. They still like around, well, it depends on if you get the accessories too, right, Metalhead? I know it's right around $1,000, or it's around $1,200, I guess, because you can get different packages, right? So, obviously you'd like to get everything, every accessory that can go with it would be kind of good. You can get the little bag and all this other stuff that comes with it. So, it's kind of a lot of money though, but it'd be nice to have. Now we can start shooting the moon, showing different moon stuff. And just to get, just to see the moon, because even with the 6-inch one I got, and I had like a 3 times Barlow on it, and you can get up pretty close to that moon. Of course, you're not going to get right into the actual craters and stuff, because it's not made to do that. You can only magnify it to where you actually start to distort the picture, so you can't do that. So I had the 3 times Barlow, and of course I had the camera on it, tried it different ways, and you can get some pretty decent, photos, and you can get it pretty close to it. Problem with it was I was trying to use it with an older laptop, and of course that just it couldn't handle the frames per second and everything else, so it was literally just like freezing up. And so I can easily get another laptop and get one that's fast, and then hook it back up and everything else. But I like to go with the P9 and the P1000. Now the 900s you can get, but I think the difference was between the P1000 and the 900 was the digital zoom, and I think manual zoom, wasn't it? Was there anything extra to that, or was it just that? Sean Taylor said an SR-71 type aircraft would take off at an airport and fly into space, no ground rockets needed, also disguised as a regular plane. Well, that's true. And the thing is, because, well, yeah, it's it'll be almost nearly invisible to radar. And like I said, they could come and go as they please. And that's what I said, if they really wanted to, they could retrofit that if they really wanted to make it really, so they can go out in space back and forth all they wanted. If you've ever seen the regular jets, like, even back in the day, like the F-16s, F-17s, and a lot of these top secret aircraft, a lot of these crafts, even the regular planes, the ones that can fly at high velocity, they would literally leak every kind of fluid on the ground. And, and I've seen this myself, because my brother was in the Air Force mechanic. And he said, see all this, what's with these planes, man? What the heck's going on here? I said, they're leaking everywhere. I said, they are right now. But once they get up in the air and everything expands, they stop. So what they do is they kind of overfill stuff. They put it right to the max. So when they get up in the air, everything seals itself and it doesn't leak. I went, oh, check that out. Because obviously everything expands, so the joints expand and you don't have that problem. So I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. So, yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, was it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was the digital zoom, right? No, Metalhead? Flux Capacitor says, with Von Braun in PALS, we probably did so much more than we will ever know. Yeah, because, I mean, his mindset was, we want to go to Mars. The moon was too easy. I mean, we already did that. But he wanted to actually go to Mars. I'm going, So you know they made it happen. They're saying, listen, build it. And they could have easily been done. Easily. What's going on there, Jerry Lehane? I think you just snuck in there, didn't you? David McLeod, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Remember the mini unmanned space shuttle? Remember that? What was that? Guys, what was that called? I know exactly what you took. It took off for like, well, you said space shuttle of the Air Force. The one thing that was orbiting Earth for 5 years that nobody knew what it was doing. Maybe dry runs for shipping to Mars. Well, that could very well be. And, you know, everybody thought it was a spy plane, which could very well be. It could be other things. Who the hell knows? These people are just like, boom, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, and at one time they said, oh, it was going for like you said, I think it was one time, the first time it was going for 2 years. I'm going 2 years. Let's say, wait a minute. Every 2 years, Mars is closer to Earth. This is the reason why you see these missions every other 2 years. So every other year. This is the reason why we see that. So, I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Think about it, right? So could they have brought supplies over there? I mean, we don't even know. I mean, listen, in the dead of night, they could send one of these things out. All you hear is, you hear this like boom, but you don't know what it is. It could be something like the SR-71 that's pretty much invisible to radar. You'd hear it, but you'd be like, what is that? If it's got a different propulsion, even if they would say, no, we're just testing rockets, so you'll see a rocket take off. It's no big deal. But you don't know. Once it, like this particular one, if it was similar to that, you know, you have the actual staged rockets take off from that once it gets out in the outer orbit, and then it just takes off. How the hell do we know? We don't know. And it could be going on for years and nobody would know. Because you're going to go, oh, I live by an airport, so wouldn't think nothing of it. Maybe, you know, well, I hear like launches all the time. Doesn't bother me. You go, okay. So how will we know? Jerry Lehane says, thumbs up, subscribe. Yeah, anybody who hasn't thumbed up, please do so. It helps get the video out, or, well, it'll be a video when this is done. Gets it out. And, of course, I always appreciate it anyway, you guys. Steve Garnham, he said, you're talking to Ricardo, said losing a pet is like losing a member of the family. I don't know who lost a pet, but I know I have recently, and it's not fun, I'll tell you that. Terry Kelling, you said the Nikon Coolpix P1000 is a tasty bit of kit, but it is a tad expensive, but it is a quality camera. I am thinking of getting one myself. Yeah, exactly, Metal. Yep. Father zoom with P1000. I mean, that's insane. I've seen people using those things on YouTube, and you just see that they go like, it could be daylight, and literally like zooming right into it. I'm like, oh my God, that is crazy. And that's a simple camera. When I say simple, I mean, it's not your standard camera, of course, but that's just a camera. I mean, it's so much cheaper than a telescope, although a telescope would be a lot better. But I have to keep nagging my buddy. You know you want to get rid of that. Tony Introvert, he said, yes, look over here while we launch a secret something. Well, it's true. I mean, like I said, how many of us would pay attention to that? Like, I think it was Will from What's Up in the Sky. He lives in Maryland, and they got a launch center over there. He says, I see these things take off all the time. Sometimes, he'll say, many times, he says, we see them take off, and they're not even a planned takeoff. In other words, they always announce it, so people can go there, and they can watch this thing take off, and oh, wow, ooh, wow. But a lot of times it's takeoffs, and there's nothing ever said. Now, they're not telling the public. So you see these launches take off, and nobody knows what the hell they're for, So how do we know? Marina Rapan, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Repan? I think when lunar and Mars missions start and when they become regular, there will be no secrets left. Well, yeah, I mean, unless they do their best to, like, say, hey, guys, whatever you do, let's say you're going back and forth to Mars or even the moon. There'll be no pictures taken. You can't share them with anybody. Even if you go, oh, I seen something on the moon that was crazy, they probably have a gag order for that, too. It's like if you ever let anything out, you'll disappear. Somehow you have a real terrible accident. So who the hell knows, right? It's kind of like, and I always said that, how are they going to get away with it when you have companies like I said, Virgin Galactic and these other places that want to do these basically go around the moon and come back tour kind of thing, where, are they going to have like windows that are shut? And I don't mean literally windows that open. I mean like a shield that goes over the window so you can't see out them. And then when they go by a certain area, they go, okay, then they open up. Oh, now you can look at the moon. See, there's nothing there to see. It's just moon and craters. Isn't that beautiful? So, and then, of course, when they don't want you to see it, they can actually just shut the shield to it. So it's basically a shade so you can't see what's going on. I don't know. Yep, Marina said crewed missions, absolutely. Yep. Backyard Astronaut, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you. He said good night, all. Good night, you all. Have a good weekend there, and be safe there, right? Do you have your own channel? I think you do. I think I've seen your channel. Backyard Astronaut. I'm almost positive you did. If you did, if you want, you can drop a link, and I'll go ahead and share it with everybody else. You can do that. Just put spaces in between because it won't allow you to just drop a regular link because that's just how it works. Whitebeard, yeah, Whitebeard's Guy Dad. He said hopefully they'll come clean at some friggin' point, Chris. I agree. I totally agree. Z Humble Pie, what's going on? I don't know when you jumped in there, but I don't know how long you've been in there, but either you just jumped in or I just missed you. But yeah, you said the structure on Mars is similar to our ancient city of Ur. Yeah, exactly. And the crazy thing about it, like I said, if you guys haven't seen the last video or the prior one, part one, look again at that structure. You can see very faintly there's like a square opening inside that darker area on that structure. You can see it looks like a rectangular opening inside it. It's pretty wide too. And I didn't notice it till after, like I said, where I was just kind of like, I'm just editing a video, and I went, what the heck? I said, I didn't even notice that. Because I was too busy going over the other pieces and the other parts and the stuff laying on the ground, that when I looked again, I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And like I said, I was hoping somebody else would have found that and said, hey, what about that? It looks like an opening. Nobody said anything. Because it is hard to see. I ain't going to lie. KSG Sunshine, he said, good evening, Chris. I'm a bit late to the party, but I will watch the show through later. Hope you're all doing well. Kind regards, Stefan. What's going on, man? Yeah, we're about ready to shut down anyway. Believe it or not, folks, I literally jumped in here, right? Didn't have a bite to eat before I got on. Usually I have something to eat before I get on here, so that's why I'm drinking the heck out of this to shut my stomach up. But, so, yeah, quite hungry. But anybody who hasn't hit the thumbs up, please do so. I do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to jump on off this bad whamma jamma. And like I said, see if that'll go back. There we go. But what are they showing here? Okay. At first I thought something happened over here because I'm looking at the broadcasting software and I'm going, okay, we're still good here. But yeah, folks, I mean, thanks for being here, man. As always, we always have a great time. I was actually looking forward to it. I was telling the wife, we got to get in there, you know. So I think I get in there like 10 minutes late, 12 minutes late. I forget what it was. So my apologies for that. But, you know, got to do what you got to do, right? But I said, I don't want to miss this. I didn't want to reschedule for tomorrow, although I could have, because that's when we used to have it. But I was like, well, they're so used to being on it right now, and it was so late. It was right just before 4. I said, I don't want to do that to them. You know, they're looking forward to it like I am. I'm just going to go ahead and jump in there. I don't think they're going to really care if it's about 10 minutes late. But I want to thank everybody for being here. All the newcomers that jumped on board, thank you for being here as well. It's good to have you on board. Hope everybody subscribed and hit that the bell, and make sure when that little drop-down box comes on, and you just hit the and notify all or whatever it says, all notifications, whatever it says, just tick that. Then you can almost be sure that you'll get a notification. Although many people have said, "Oh, I got a tick, man. For some reason, it's just not working." You got to love YouTube. But like I said, folks, you know, we always try to hit almost the 200 mark on the thumbs up. So, you know, when you guys do, if you can, be great. And much love to you all. Thanks for everybody being here. Again, all the regular guys here, and all the regular women, thank you for being here, all the usual suspects. And all the new people that jumped on board, thank you for being here. I know you were referred or whatever, so I do appreciate you. And I'm glad that you joined us because, like I said, if you're into anything like this, that's what we do. We just like to have a great time. Sometimes we go off topic, sure. But on the other side of the token, it's good to be able to talk about whatever's on people's minds. And it's good to get it out. That's the way I look at it, right? And I don't think anybody has a problem with that. But we still try to go back to space if we can, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for everybody. Thanks for everybody joining us tonight. I do appreciate you. And well, we get 7:20, 23, we'll be 25. We'll go to like 35 after the hour, and everybody can just hang for a little bit longer like I like to do, and everybody can say their goodbyes and all that other good stuff. So anyway, everybody stay safe. I do appreciate you, all the support that you guys show. You guys are awesome, and I love all the questions and the comments and stuff like that. It's what makes it interesting. So I appreciate you all for that. Much love to everybody. Everybody stay safe. Have a great weekend. And if you're going to be in part of that snowstorm, be prepared. Don't be a fool because you don't know how long it'll be down. It'll be a major ass whipping to the northeast, and it's more Rhode Island up to Vermont, but that doesn't mean anything. You never know. Anyway, again, be safe. We'll see you guys soon. And don't forget to watch out for that new moon video coming out. It's going to be on Monday, so stay tuned for that as well. Anyway, guys, peace. We'll talk to you soon.